NYXL just pulled off the 3-2 victory over the Dallas Fuel. Man, a close 5-match battle. And with that win, the NYXL solidified their spot in this weekend's stage title matches. They will once again be playing for their fair share of $125,000. And you know, you got to give it up for the Dallas Fuel. They just played some of the best Overwatch that we've seen them play this entire stage. So if you're a Dallas Fuel fan, you got to be happy knowing they're going to be carrying that momentum into their next match against the London Spitfire. All right, up next, we have the Boston Uprising going against the San Francisco Shock. Now, the Boston Uprising, they aren't in stage playoff contention this time around, but they're in overall playoff contention, and they're going to be looking to maintain their spot in the standings with a win today. And the San Francisco Shock, they actually had a star player make his debut yesterday. Sinatra, he came in here, and he showed everybody that he is about that Overwatch life. But unfortunately, they weren't able to get that win, so they're going to be looking to get a W and end this stage on a good note. So Blizzard Arena, if you're ready for this match, can I hear it one more time? One more time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep that same energy. It's our final match of the night.
Blizzard Arena, give us your energy. It is the final match of the evening. We've had a crazy day, and I'm expecting this final one. Let's see it another game 5. Why not? Welcome back, everybody. It's Puggy with the whole desk. We got Zoe joining us. Zoe, we got to talk about Dallas real quick before we get into this new one.
I was so excited. I was so excited to see them perform well again. I did get to talk to the coaches from the NYXL a little bit during halftime, and they said they actually did prepare for Dallas, but they just certainly did not expect Siegel and Mickey to pop up on stage like that. So
I don't even think Kai saw Siegel playing as well as he did today.
No one did, but they did, and it was great.
Let's take a look at the schedule in its entirety for the day. Remember, this is just day 2 of 5, and I love the signs. We've got, of course, the Outlaws upsetting Seoul. That is the story of the day because it opens the doors for teams like the Gladiators, for the Fusion to get into the playoffs. The squads we're about to watch right now, though, they're not in the playoff running. They're looking to improve their overall result because remember, at the end of 40 matches, that's when we have the real playoffs, where the serious money is on the line. You got to be in the top 6 of 12 if you want to compete there. And let's start with our squads right now. We got San Francisco Shock taking on the Boston Uprising. And if you tuned in yesterday, the whole story of the day seemed to be surrounding the Shock's new face. Sinatra was in the lineup for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Sinatra, I think he didn't play towards the level that people were hyping him to, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think, honestly, to be honest, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations that are being put on that guy's shoulders, given the hype, that was brought around him. At the end of the day, Overwatch, very much a team game, and it is a sort of team effort when it comes to winning those matches out. So,
in talking about San Francisco, we had the question, what is going to happen when Sinatra turns 18 and he can finally play? Well, yesterday we found out it seemed the coaching staff wanted to run all 3 of their starting DPS players. They have 4, but Dante and Baby Bay were also seen alongside Sinatra yesterday. What do you think of the compositions?
Well, I quite like it because it gives them a lot of variability. They have Baby Bay, who can play the Soldier 76, Dante, who's on your screen right now, who is phenomenal at the Sombra, but can also play Tracer and Genji. So this lets them play Soldier 76 Tracer, as you're seeing now. It also lets them go over to Dive, which is the composition you're looking at right here with the Genji and the Tracer. But it's brand new for them, and they weren't quite able to pull out the win in their last match.
I do love how much DPS versatility this is giving them, though, because with Baby Bay being also a very good Widowmaker and a McCree, that really allows them to pull up a variety of different strats on all of those maps.
Yeah, not as easy to read. But Sinatra, he wasn't happy with the result yesterday. Of course, the Shock fell just short of the Fort of Mayhem.
Yeah, and in fact, he was putting out a little bit of a tweet, right? And I mean, I can kind of respect this a little bit, He's a little bit of me, a little bit of arrogance coming into it. He wasn't happy with it at all, He said, should have been a 4-0. Well, I don't know about that, Sinatra. I mean, again, it's nice to be a bit cocky, a bit confident, but, I mean, what team was he talking about there? Florida Mayhem? Or probably Florida
You can read it either way. Also, I have a question for you, Brent.
Sure.
I keep on seeing you, like, with that pen in your hand.
Yeah.
But I've never seen you like taken down a single note.
Oh, no.
What?
Yo,
Is that just
okay,
making you look intellectual?
call me out?
Yeah.
He flies by the seat of his pants.
You want to call me out on this? You want to call me out?
Okay.
Look at all these notes, Zoe. Sorry, what?
Oh, I'm
So
sorry,
what's
I
going
missed
on,
it.
Zoe? What's going on?
See, clarification. Detective Zoe on the case.
I like
I sorted it.
All is forgiven.
Thank you
I've made a
very
mess
much.
of my
Talked a lot
notes now.
about the Shock. Let's show some love to Boston. They're not in the playoff run, but if you're looking at the standings, they were always close to the hunt. This team's currently 10-8. They're trying to break into the top 6 in the overall standings. What should the audience know about this squad coming into today?
I think the important thing to note is that even though these guys look like they came out of nowhere, if you weren't familiar with the scene pre-Overwatch League, and even for some of us that were, they have put in the time and really grinded their way through the practice, the months before the Overwatch League started, all throughout Stage 1. And so this is a team that's really put in the effort. You contrast that over to San Francisco Shock, they're kind of throwing in players and hoping they'll adapt on the fly. So there's a big difference in styles and philosophies going forward here.
Okay, let's see our official predictions getting into the game, guys. We have San Francisco, we have Boston, both trying to finish strong here in Stage 2. I want to start with you, Bren. Where are we going to open things up?
I'm going to be sticking with Shock, I think, for this one. You know, we've been bigging up, you know, the good old Sinatra. You know, we've been saying, you know, he's got bits about him. You know, he can put in the work. I think Shock is the way to go for me, at least. That's what I'm going to be predicting for these next few.
I wish you guys could all see Reinforce. He's off camera over
He
here.
was distracting me. He was going,
what is happening? All right,
He was
that
actually
show,
face
we got
palming,
Bren
like,
going
what
with the Shock back-to-back days. Where are you going?
Unless the Shock pull out some ridiculous performance that we've never seen from them before, which I guess is possible. They got wild cards in there. But Boston Uprising have been so consistent. They had struggles at the beginning of Stage 2, but they're here for real
Might I
now.
remind you,
This is a real
Nitro,
team.
You're talking to the Oracle here. Listen,
Okay.
have I ever got a prediction wrong? I
Yes.
don't think so.
Have you ever got a
I got a
prediction right?
prediction today right. You know, I predicted that Dallas were going to go to 5 maps and lose. You know, I'm coming out with all sorts here. I predicted they were going to run Seagull. You
That's
know, I
great,
didn't see
Bren. We'll
but
read
that-
it in your blog later. Zoe, you still get to predict where you're going. You're the tiebreaker.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with Boston. I just think that...
You're a sensible girl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm a sensible girl. I'm going to go with Boston.
I'm told the players are ready. Are you guys here in the venue ready? It is the final match of the day. San Francisco Shock taking on the Boston Uprising, and it kicks off right now.
Lots of damage.
Gamsu's been a real bright spot for this Uprising team.
And the Shock are going to capitalize. You know they will. You know they had to do it to him.
Oh, look at this, Striker! No orbs there. He's crushed them.
Can the Shock close it out? It looks very likely. Boston is such a good team at the counter dive.
And yeah, the Shock will clean it up.
EMP here from Dante is able to connect with a few members.
Trying to keep his teammates alive, but Dream Casper's back into it.
Oh, here we go.
From the Bay Area, let's hear it for the San Francisco Shock. Dante leading the charge today. Glad to see him back in the mix. You can see Sinatra a few steps behind him. They're 6-13 overall, 3-6 here in Stage 2. But finally, they have the pieces they've been waiting for.
Yeah, and this is a squad that's going to get slowly powered up as time goes on now. They're going to be getting Architect in. Again, a fantastic Genji player alongside Super as well. This is a team that's going to be getting all the pieces they need to really start to gather some momentum and push it forward coming into the stage.
I love the way you just put that, because when I talked to the coaching staff of the SF Shock, they told me that Owl is a crucible and that players such as Sinatra will need to be forged in the fires of competition and in the third stage before we start to see the real potential of these players. So Sinatra, week 5, that was only just the beginning, not his final form.
Sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons
I know, right?
scene. I like it.
And that seems to be the attitude of a lot of the guys behind the San Francisco Shock. Andy Miller, their owner, said that the league and this team's goals throughout the initial season, they view it as a marathon. It's not a sprint. They are building towards the future with these players. A lot of them very young, very talented, a lot of potential.
Keep your eyes on Nomi. He has definitely upped his game as of late. Also, Moth, the new addition there on support. That's a look at the San Francisco Shock. It's time to intro their opponent. Let's hear it for the boys from Boston. It's the Uprising. Boston coming into the match at 10-8 overall. They fell just short of the Stage 1 playoffs and find themselves in a familiar scenario. 4-4 currently, but they're officially out of this run.
Yeah, and you know, last time those two teams faced off against each other, the Shock won 3-1, and that is the loss which the coach Hawk told me they still regret. Also, fun fact, the Shock recently picked up Moth, who prior to joining them actually played for Boston Uprising's Academy team, so for their contenders team. So I'm just gonna call it a grudge match from now on.
So the coaches know what Moth is going to be bringing to the table.
They do.
Absolutely. When you look at this lineup, what are you guys seeing here? Some familiar faces coming in today.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to, I guess, Dreamcasper in general. His DPS of a true, like, you know, a great team in terms of their chemistry when they're just sort of mucking around, and he seemed like a good group of friends. You know, I wouldn't go as far to say that.
And then you got the older brother Gamsu, who's just focused always.
Always focused on the game.
Always focused and always excellent as well, actually. So consistent in terms of what he brings to the table. And I think that even with the step-ups of the San Francisco Shock, they've got to be worried about Gamsu and Striker here. They're the two players to watch. They'll be causing carnage unless they're shut down.
Dreamcasper giving his fans what they want. He'll be playing all kinds of heroes today. Also a key player in the communication, as we learned in their match against the Valiant. We've met all 12 of our first set of players. It's time to kick this match off. Bringing you the action tonight, we got Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And what a way to finish off the day with results that I have to say have definitely been surprising. And now we have two teams that are very different coming to clash.
Yeah, Boston extremely aggressive. They have a fantastic dive. San Francisco trying to work some things out. Sinatra playing very aggressive like we'd expect him to be. He just needed the rest of the team to push up and be there with him. That's where I think they kind of faltered yesterday in their match.
But the reason why I think this matchup is so interesting is because we've sort of talked about San Francisco, who've improved recently, but very much it's been a defensive focus for San Francisco. The Shock has definitely been good at getting these big full hold situations and actually holding off attacking teams, whereas the Uprising are kind of the complete opposite, Matt. They love to dive, and even on defense, they love to dive.
And I think a lot of people would look at Boston and be like, oh, I know they're not a great team this stage, whatnot. Now, right now, they're 4-4. In their last 5 games, they're 4-1. So they've really kind of hit a stride in the later half of the stage.
Crazy, right? They'd be playoff contenders again in stage 2 if they didn't have such a nightmare start to the season, to the stage.
I mean, look, they have a win over Florida, which is a 4-0. Shanghai as well, 4-0. Dallas 4-0, and then the win over the Valiant, which is a 3-2. So in their 4 wins, they only dropped 2 maps there.
Well,
but still,
three of them are bottom 4 teams.
Still some easier opponents during that stretch.
Regardless, things are looking up for the Boston Uprising again. Too late in this stage for them to make a tilt at the playoffs. But this is definitely still an interesting match in terms of, but just examining how these two play styles now interact with each other.
But it's a lot like the Houston Outlaws, right? Like, you know, it's obviously not as good of a stage as stage 1, but you finish 500, right? If you can just have like 2 stages where you finish 500, and then, you know, 1 stage where you finish something like a 7-3, you know, 2 stages like a 7-3, you're right there in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You're going to be there at the end of the year. So if you were to, you know, kind of have an off stage, whatnot, you'd rather have it earlier than later in the year.
It's all about building to the future. That's what our desk was saying about the Shock, and it's very much the same setup with the Boston Uprising. 2 very young teams, with the exception of a couple of individuals, but we want to see how Sinatra and Nomi work together on San Francisco's attack. We know Sinatra is aggressive. We know that Nomi is generally not such a sort of balls-to-the-wall kind of Winston player. We need to see these two in concert this time around.
Yeah, you know, yesterday during our match, you know, we mentioned a few times, you know, Sinatra would like triple blink in, get a guy weak, and then recall out. But those are kills if Nomi is there with him. Like those times where he would get Zupe very weak, not have enough HP to finish him off himself. If you add whether it's your Winston, your Diva, your anybody else is there, and they finish those kills. So you need to see them work a little bit better together.
Nomi, protect. Not so much attack in the past. Now, though, it needs to be a bit of protection. You see that defensive dive manifesting for the Boston Uprising. They spring forth, and it's a bloodbath. Note getting very much involved in a lot of those eliminations, and that's what the Shock need to be ready for. If Nomi is of 2 minds, if you're thinking, I need to jump in and I need to peel back and defend, that's going to happen. San Francisco are going to freeze up like a bunch of stunned mullets.
You set yourself up for that if you're the Shock. If you're just standing there at the door, just having your supports take like chip damage and then not going in, and trying to create some space. And Boston's are going to take advantage of that. They're just going to jump on it every single time.
See, Nevix is the first one out here. Sleepy's found, or helped them find Gamsu at least, so that's a pick. And San Francisco can get into position now. Note, looking definitely worse for wear, so we have to back away and actually wait for this sort of healing over time. Kellix can pump darts into him. Sleepy, defense matrix, nice use of that one there by Nevix to keep him alive. But now the Dragon Blade, Casper, always the clean one here, the surgeon when it comes to Genji. He'll find himself a couple, but Sinatra been doing work in the meantime. Both supports for the uprising are down. Striker's pulse bomb though, that's huge! That's just so huge. 3 for Striker. The Boston Uprising somehow hold on. Sinatra, the jig's up, my friend.
And you got to feel, I mean, Sinatra gets 3 as well. And he gets both supports, a little tactical crouch on the other end there. That time he's on the receiver.
Nothing like a Boston Tea Party, Matt.
Striker welcoming him to the Overwatch League. You can't really put that one on Sinatra, right? He goes in, he picks up some kills. It's just a nano blade that comes out from Boston, and then Striker finishing some kills. Be transcendence from both teams here. As Boston trying to stabilize, you already have a tick on the board here for San Francisco.
And Dante now takes his time. The Dragon Blade's definitely an option with Gamsu being as low as he is. Dante doesn't need to be too worried, but Sinatra chases and follows up. Nevic's going to get desuited here. We have the self-destruct. It looks like he wants to stick around because he's going to pop that and get the resuit. Dante went down with his Dragon Blade, care of Dream Casper. The San Francisco Shock need to wait for the Secret Robbers to come online. Sinatra, it's a very hasty recall back to the safety of Nevix's defense matrix on the point. That'll keep them quiet for a little bit. But they've got a tick, 2 ticks in fact, the San Francisco Shock, and Dante will be returning soon with the Blade.
It's going to be a nano boost on a Dream Casper trying to keep this one alive. It doesn't look likely though, Mitch. It's going to be 4 members for the Shock here on point A. They will take that first point, and the Tracers on both teams so far putting on a show. I mean, 9 elims for Sinatra, 6 final blows. 10 for Striker, 5 final blows, 1 death for both of these players. It's just a very good Tracer battle, which you expected. You thought Sinatra would come into the league and be one of, the better Tracers, up near the higher echelon. It's just, it's only so much one player can do. We see Effect, right? He's a fantastic Tracer for the Fuel. It's just their team has just been kind of a little bit of a mess. It's going to be a D-Mech early. That's going to bring a Dragon Blade out.
Dante doesn't really know quite where he's looking for. I mean, he doesn't really want to kill Node. He wants to stagger him a little bit longer, but he decides to get rid of him anyway. Casper, he's in trouble though. Low on HP. He falls to Nomi. Sinatra finds Neko, and that's a good little dive from the San Francisco Shock. Matt, they're looking like they're a bit more aggressive today. Things are gelling just that much more. Gamsu tries to get to the point, but the San Francisco Shock put up a very competitive time. 4 minutes and 16 seconds remain, and we're starting to see now that killer edge emerge from the Shock.
If you play aggressive as a team, good things will happen. We have seen that playing fast, playing aggressive has benefited so many teams. Usually the team that has to be reactive in a lot of these fights, it's not as easy to be reactive as the one who is taking the fight to the other team, right? Because you go in with your game plan, you know exactly what you want to do. If you're reacting to that on the other side, there's a lot of things that need to go right to be able to hold on.
And there's an element of risk as well. I think we've discussed this a couple times, to being a team on defense that likes to dive, that doesn't like to sort of sit back and be reactive. And what we saw there was Note overextending a little bit too far. Thought that maybe he was just trading some damage up on that high platform. He gets caught out and desuited very quickly. And the Shock astutely identified that as a key opening for them to come forward.
Well, like we mentioned, the Shock's defense has not been their problem. It has been the ability to force action on the offensive side. So that is a good sign to see there from the San Francisco Shock, able to get in there, set a very good time, taking A and B with 4 minutes and 16 seconds in the time bank.
I mean, that's why they struggled against the Mayhem yesterday, Matt. Yeah. Or previously, should I say. Yeah, yesterday. All right. The Mayhem, obviously, I lose track of time really easy with this job. It's not a hard job. I just, I have my head up my butt most of the time. But the Mayhem prefer to play against a team that plays a bit slow. The Mayhem like to slow the pace of the game down, and San Francisco got lured into that trap. But this is a grudge match. The last time these two teams faced, it was a 5-map affair.
Yeah.
And the San Francisco Shock just edged it out.
You know what, I actually saw Swoosh on his stream was talking about, how they played against the Shock yesterday. And he said they were able to get so much space because Sinatra would have to use the 3 blinks and the recall. And then the Mayhem, if they survive that, they would know that, that Tracer does not have any blinks or they don't have recall. So that allowed the Mayhem to move up and take more space. That is why you need to see everybody be aggressive with that Tracer.
Dream Casper, Neko takes advantage of the fact that Sinatra was revealed, care of the Sonic Arrow by Casper. However, in doing so, Sinatra is taken down by Sleepy, so both Tracers bit the dust, but Strikers return to the fray. That's crucial.
Boston's done a nice job of splitting up the members here of the Shock. You have Nomi over to the left, Dante on the point, and then Nevix and both supports over towards that right-hand side. Just the pressure put on by this Hanzo pick Just the amount of damage, right? Nobody wants to poke out because something like that could happen, right?
What is that?
Hanzo you're able to just hit these insane shots as Dante gets right up Dreamcaster's grill, takes him out, but it'll be the res that comes out on Necro, so you're gonna bring that support back in before you res another DPS.
Note getting chunked on down, and guys, defense matrix didn't last him long enough. Sleepy was sitting back with Moth, and they were just pumping damage in. But Striker now is issuing a challenge to the Shock. Come face me on the point, see how you go. Oh, looks like the Shock are more than happy to oblige, but Nomi, it's a pulse bomb. First kill being claimed. Striker now trying to do it all himself. Dante, Dragon Blade and Nano Boost here are looking to try and clean up Gamsu. Tanks seem to be the only thing on the menu right now for Dante. I guess he's bulking up. That's fine. Backing up, getting a lot of healing as well. Moth keeping him alive very nicely during that fight. He's gonna force Boston back.
Yeah, Kellex able to keep Note alive because he's popping Valkyrie. Boston also going to use Transcendence here. It'll be Neko keeping Striker alive as he tries to dive into the back on the supports. They're able to get Moth and they get Dante here, so this is looking good here for the Boston Uprising. There's going to be the Dragon Strike. That should be all here for point.
I need a cold shower after watching this Hanzo shenanigans, Matt. Dream Casper brings it in, and you just notice how much pressure he can put on people like Nevix, like Nomi. You also punish that aggression. Hanzo is a hero that lacks mobility and can be dived on pretty easily, providing the scatter arrow is on cooldown. And then if you can get on towards him, pick him up. But obviously, chunk the tanks down. He's a heavy hitter with that bow. He's switching them to the McCree.
Yeah, you're going to go McCree here over 76 because of the dive that's going to come in from the San Francisco Shock, as I know they're pretty much going to play this the Tracer Genji combination. When you see these two in the lineup, I mean, maybe you see like a 76 or a Widowmaker come out eventually, but primarily this is what you're going to expect, especially on Hanamura on point B defense.
They were told us earlier on today, actually, Sol was made it into the similar approach by the Houston Outlaws. Put the Winston and the Tracer on the point, try and drag the defenders sort of either onto the point or onto the high ground here, and just manipulate them, slowly try and wiggle your way into pole position. Dream Casper goes down, and Nomi, we talked about him wanting to be aggressive. Looks like he gets it done. Striker finds a pulse bomb here, but he's lost a couple crucial teammates and will be focused down now. It sucks to be a Tracer and the target of scrutiny.
Yeah, I mean, Nomi's really weak. He wants to finish this kill off. Put a lot of shots into the bubble. Notes there to help him out. As Kellex healing up from the high ground. It's going to be a Dragon Blade that comes in from Dante and looking for some members. But, ooh, he actually just swipes towards his backside and gets Kellex just flying through the air. It's a big kill, getting that Mercy out. He's going to avoid this self-destruct, not going to be able to do it.
Now, this is a chaotic fight, but slowly and surely, the Boston Uprising are taking control. See, Nomi actually uses his jump just to reposition in the backline. That is rough. That's going to give away a lot of extra percentage now. He just has to walk onto the point, and Transcendence now in effect. Casper needs to back up. He knows that Nomi will be coming for a bit. In a second, he can just go back up to the platform, assuming that Nomi eventually drops down and tries to fry some other fish.
Yeah, that's what's nice about having Widowmaker here is he can grapple up, get that sightline yet again, which Dreamcaster has gotten up to the high ground. Sleepy trying to take him on in a little bit of a 1v1 duel. Sleepy drops down as the big boss who takes out Dreamcaster from range.
That's unbelievable. Sleepy's on 1 HP, actually trying to duel with Dreamcasper. Eventually, he gets some help from his teammates, but that's pretty ballsy stuff from the Zenyatta, especially, no pun intended.
I mean, typically, you know, you usually send your Genji or your Diva or maybe your Winston up there, but the Shock like to do it a little bit different. They send Sleepy up Zen all the way up in that top left.
Sleepy hasn't received any healing since then, so you can actually see that's how much health he had, and the shield was also gone at the time. I don't know what he was doing, but I like it.
And then he didn't really force Dreamcaster down from the high ground. He actually had to go all the way down to get that mega health back in the back.
Note that Gamsu, actually, you have a bit of air control in Overwatch, right? Gamsu actually got out of the way of that sleep dart somehow, but his stick is there! Striker advances upon Moth there, and he's got the fly swatter to boot. Now Sinatra in the backside. The pulse bomb surely be waiting for Gamsu probably to pop out of Primer Raid before he tries to use this one, just to complete the kill. He does so with 8 plom, and they'll continue now. Kellex looking low, booping away Sinatra as he tries to get to grips now with his foes, and it's Striker who jumps into the space that was left. Sinatra taken down, Note woken up from his sleep now, and I hear a tactical visor from the high ground. That's exactly what Dream Casper wanted. Nomi, though, very cleverly, not only shuts Casper down, he gets Neko as well. That's so smart from the Winston player in the San Francisco Shock. He takes down the Zen while bubbling the 76, so Casper can't get the tac visor off. That's so sick.
Yeah, and he gets the effects of the nano boost as well to give him that damage mitigation. A little bit extra damage. Finish those kills off. As now Boston, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. Try and take point B. They're getting closer towards both support ults. That'll be their biggest advantage in this next fight. Striker also with a pulse bomb. Maybe he's able to make some action happen, but you see San Francisco Shock, nobody close to any ultimates right now.
Nomi bounds forth here. Pulse bomb dropped on the ground, but Nomi's able to step back away from it. Striker will try and finish this kill before Nomi can get any health in. Yeah, Nevix, the defense matrix wasn't quite in position to save the Winston, and now Striker will move forward. Dante is down. Nevix going to desuit himself, so putting himself in a bit of danger. But again, if you eject up high, it's hard to kill the D.Va unless you want to expose yourself to the self-destruct explosion itself. Here's the Transcendence on the point, though. Pulse bomb put on Gamsu. He's still alive, though. Extra health pool really going to be helping him out a lot there. Striker wants another pulse bomb in and finish this one off, but Gamsu is also going to be in position. Nomi jumps to the point of Primal Rage, and Dante, the Dragon Blade now in effect. Striker needs to give this one a wide berth while he can, and Dante went down to a Helix rocket before he could get any damage done with the blade.
Yeah, Dreamcasper took him out as soon as he popped that Dragon Blade, and Striker up on the high ground will take out Sleepy. That'll be a clean sweep there from Boston as they take point B. A minute and 29 to go, and that starts to happen at the beginning there, Mitch, when Nomi's up on that high ground and he has to get out. He gets so weak, he goes down to the low ground, and then he's trying to jump to the back, by the spawn doors to get to his supports. And it's such a risky play because they have a 76 set up on the high ground now. All he has to do is hit like a few shots as you kind of fly through the air back to your supports. Not really a great way for them to get back. Maybe he could have went for one of those, health packs, the health pack underneath the bridge on the bottom, then wrapped around the other way and jump back. But once they get Nomi, they use the sound barrier right away and just push onto them.
It definitely felt like Nomi was on his own up against about 5 players there.
Yes.
Well, we're on like just a third-person camera behind him as he jumps in, and you can see it's not a lot of orange and white in that fight. So Nomi drops down, and I'm trying to figure out, is he trying to get the mini health pack underneath the small bridge?
That's where I thought he was going to go for.
Or is he caught between doing that and trying to peel for his supports even though he has no HP left? So maybe a bit of indecision cost him there, but the result was him standing out in the open.
But you had Nevix in that position if they wanted to have somebody peel for the supports, because he's standing on the point. He's actually trying to use the defense matrix looking up to block any damage that's going over towards Nomi, and just didn't work out.
Now, regardless of what went into that decision being what it was the opening that Boston Uprising took to finish off the map. Now, Nevix is getting a bit of street art done, perhaps. And it wouldn't be out of place here in Hanamura. So the Boston Uprising have to attack again because they are vastly behind in time bank map by 3 minutes.
Just to remind you guys, it's not the Sombra that's on live. This is where you still get help from these health packs. So this is a strategy we used to see when Sombra first really started to be played, where you just farm up an EMP extremely fast here, and then you just try and use an EMP to break this point.
Much better.
You can see the Monks being pressured heavily. A lot of that is coming from the dive, which should be no surprise. Dreamcasper and Striker are, obviously the real tools, the sharper objects were the blunter ones are perhaps the tanks. So Striker opens up, he deals with Mock. Note being desuited at this stage isn't a big deal at all because the Buddy Blaster clearly is enough for him to get the job done. All the threats are already neutralized on the side of San Francisco, and Boston Uprising will have an immediate first point take. Neko didn't even need the EMP.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you probably switch off with the Sombra here as well. It looks like actually he's going to keep going with it, so potentially you hack this mega health pack and then you try and get an EMP off. The issue is point B is so spread out. They can play from so many different angles. You may not get everybody with it, but
you try and bait them to dive you on the high ground. Maybe you actually take the 76 Sombra and you just hope they try and jump at you, and maybe you can pop an EMP. Maybe
the issue is you're so close to Dragon Blade, you already have a pulse bomb, and with only 40 seconds left, you can't risk going all the way into the back.
You're in trouble, mate. He knows it. However, Nevix and Dante do well to deal with the dive. Kellex was even getting in the mix, and it ultimately resulted in his demise.
If they back out now, though, they'll have another fight. They have to be very careful that these two players don't get picked off. And
they don't want to lose Striker here. Oh, Dante!
Okay.
Don't act like you know me.
Now Striker falls, so 15 seconds left. You should still be able to get a touch here. You should still be able to have Gamsu getting in touch. You have Dreamcasper with a blade, and then that EMP.
One support for Boston, which means that they don't want to play prolonged engagements. They want to get in, they want to burst people down, they want to win the fight immediately. The EMP may help with that. It's going to be used right now. It's going to be Sinatra actually gets hacked on the point, so the Tracer now lacks mobility, but the Transcendence will kind of fix that a little bit. In fact, a lot bit. It's going to make it much easier for the San Francisco Shock to hang now with the Boston Uprising. Translocator used by Neko to get himself off the point, and Nomi going to be the beneficiary of the nano boost. There's no one really there from the Boston Uprising left, and now the roadmap has been drawn for the San Francisco Shock to win this map.
The EMP connects with 3 members And one of the other ults we talked about where, don't switch off the 76, you have the Dragon Blade. Never saw the Dragon Blade used there, as they are able to take out Dreamcaster, but we have some of the Boston comms here from their attack on point B.
D.Va. I'm gonna main bot. D.Va. Oh, get you.
Nice.
Okay, I'm main body. Oh.
What are they? I'm coming point. I go to D1. High ground the 10. Monkey one on point, no ulti. Send it. Baby one. Monkey super one high ground. Baby on point. Trace one. Okay, dead. Take point. Get it.
Nice.
Get it. I like it. Should use that some my voice warm-ups.
Hey, I wish my comp games at least communicated like that. At least tell me what hero we're looking at or what we're attempting to do, but nah.
We have been asking for this for so long, Matt, and sometimes you just got to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to keep playing.
All right, so, Boston Uprising now only get themselves one checkpoint. So if you're the Shock, you're feeling decent, you're feeling okay. It really comes down to how well, this is where we really get to test how good their dive is and how good their target calling and focus is.
I would say for the Shock, you just can't get kind of lulled into the fact that you have so much time, right? Because there are so many times where we see like, oh, they have like 4 minutes, and then it's like, you lose one fight, like, oh, we still have 3 minutes left. We still got 2 minutes left. Next thing you know, it's the final fight. So need to come in here, play really good at the outset here. You want to take this point A, and then at least give yourself a chance to win this map on point B.
Gamsu on the inside of the doors. Again, the very standard welcoming committee. Oh, Sinatra! Nice bio-nade from Kellex here. Someone we rarely see playing that flex support role, very much a sort of a Mercy Lucio kind of guy. This is one of those few moments where you can see this played out, where you don't necessarily and I'll wag on my fingers, a main support.
Well, we've seen a lot of, your quote-unquote main supports. Typically people who just play like Lucio, Mercy, play a lot of different things here throughout stage 2. We've seen a lot of them, like Toby on Soul Dynasty, right? He's played a ton of Ana as well as it'll be Dreamcaster who takes out Sinatra at the beginning of this fight. So maybe one of the Shock decide to back out. They do have that spawn advantage though, and they do get Gamsu, so you may be able to make something out of this.
Yeah, Dante's going to drop down, and with him is most of the Shock. Sinatra is about to come back in. Striker's down to Sleepy, so this is definitely going to be go time. Dante, I mean, he could have waited just a little bit longer. He was a little bit too deep, but now the rest of the Shock are here. They still have Sinatra, so they do have a little bit of venom in this push. They can inflict some serious damage. So the Transcendence is used by Boston. They back away. Dreamcast was on the point 1v1ing Moth with the Nano Boost. That's why I managed to get both those kills.
They do get them to use Transcendence and Nano Boost there. Sinatra, as soon as he comes back off of respawn, jumps right on top of Neko. Uses Transcendence right away. Kellex gives that Nano Boost over to Dreamcaster. Maybe he thought he was going to use the blade there. A few more members of the Shock pick up some kills, but the Shock have a big advantage coming into this fight. Sound Barrier, Transcendence, in Dragon Blade, and Dante's dead.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So now you gotta wait. It's all right. You're still gonna have that advantage.
Interesting that the Uprising actually used the Nano Boost to help Casper feed his Dragon Blades. They're not using it as much on Gamsu. It's actually Casper that's been getting Nano Boosted without having Dragon Blade on a couple of occasions already on this map.
They also probably use it a little bit for that damage mitigation, right? So they can actually not give a checkpoint up to the Shock.
Oh, Kellex just got completely run over there. The Shock are up to something here. Let's see what they're cooking. Dante's Dragon Blade doesn't do a heck of a lot, but it's more of a distraction as Sinatra just tears his way through the backline of the Boston Uprising. Pulse Bomb dropped in. Nothing doing with that one. And Sleepy gets picked off by Striker, so the Shock need to keep going. They need to keep that pressure on here. They can't just get lax midway through the fight. It's almost like they've done so. 3 for 3 right now, and Casper's Dragon Blade claims Nevix's mech. He moves back to the point. This could be dangerous though. Nomi is one of the most dangerous threats to Casper at current. He'll have to go and get a mega health pack. But luckily for him, the Shock have to stop. See, they start the fight well. Sinatra, 2 picks. You got to be annoyed if you're him right
supports.
now. Both supports. But they take the foot off the gas mid-fight.
That's the second time on their first. He was able to get both supports, and they still end up losing the fight.
And I wonder what their mid-fight comms are like. I wonder if they're still, they're really hammering anvil all the way through, or once they get those first picks, do they just take their foot off the gas? Not sure.
That is basically a 3v4 potentially with the Lucio alive. In favor, man count for the Shock, which they should be able to win there.
The Shock cannot allow the map to get away from them here. They really should be in a position. They should be attacking point B by now, ideally.
That whole advantage just went away, right? You had both support ults, you had Dragon Blade as well, and now you have nothing. Now you're going to give Transcendence in Nano Boost to the other side, only 45 seconds to go as well.
Nano Boost there for Kellex. Might give it a Gamsu if he wants the Winston to be better at holding the door. We'll see. The run-in is there. Yeah, it's going to be Gamsu with an Anubis now as well. Goodbye, Grenade to follow it up. Look how low San Francisco are on the top of the screen. Got no choice but to back away. Full disengage, and Gamsu has a Primal Rage now to throw in for the next fight. And the Shock have given themselves no margin of error.
It seems like the way Gamsu was looking here on Winston is he like when he was like looking up to his left, that he was just going to dive right in. It's going to be a pulse bomb that connects from Sinatra, keeps himself alive there with that Primal Rage.
Oh, this is filthy. Gamsu straight in. Actually got bionated there from his own teammate, so gets a bit of healing. Helps keep him up now. And look at this guy, mostly airborne, just dropping in every now and then. It's a bit more like a spider monkey jumping between the branches of those trees. And Dream Casper, he wants to do a bit of deforestation himself to jump forward. Dragonblade gets shut down. Moth with the boop at point blank range. And Striker's going to be looking for the pulse bomb here to properly pacify the Shock as they pressure forward. Sinatra runs out. Pulse bomb from him, not connecting either. So both Tracers missing their marks, but Striker found Sinatra easily enough.
Gonna be a Dragonblade that comes in from Dante, just trying to stay alive, has to get out towards the health pack. It's just gonna be Striker and Kellex here alive for the Boston Uprising. The Shock should be able to take this on point A. You do have Gamsu and Dreamcaster coming back into this fight, though. We'll see if they can contest.
And they're gonna dive. Gamsu gonna come in as well. He's not at full health, though. That might be a problem. Bionade, Dante, can he get back? Yes, he can climb up the edge, but he's looking a little bit low on HP right now. Fortunately, the rest of his team have been doing well in his absence, and Sinatra cleans up both Gamsu and Kellex. And the San Francisco Shock is still in this, but they have one chance to finish the map.
And Kellex used Nano Boost in that fight onto Gamsu.
They gotta go.
You won't have that right away. You're gonna have Nomi with a Primal Rage, who should be able to stall this out a little bit. And you're going to have Sleepy getting very close to this Transcendence. It would be huge if he gets this down. Striker down first.
That's massive. Nomi just holding the door right now. Primal Rage gonna keep them out for the most part. It'll take the disguise and hope to get some healing in the meantime now. Just one tick is all San Francisco need. Kellex desperately jumping onto the point. Gamsu drops in, but he's so low. Transcendence now being commanded to the fight. This is everything the Shock need to finish this off. Gamsu, somebody find Gamsu. Hanging on, a small amount of life. Nevix eventually finds him, and Dante's Dragonblade amounts to very little. Nevix hits the double kill with a self-destruct. Now the 1v1, Sinatra v Striker. Nevix is there, recall! San Francisco take the map away. Oh, they very nearly lost it though. Very high. You can see some sheepish looks on those guys right now. They realize how close they were to letting it slip, but they secure it.
Yeah.
1-0.
I mean, they had 4 minutes and 16 seconds to take point A. It goes all the way to overtime, and then they take point B in a quick push. Sinatra with a good game, 35 limbs, 14 final blows. Dante, 30 limbs, 15 final blows. Striker played out of his mind as well. 27 final blows for the Boston Tracer.
So much work being done by Striker now. The rest of the Uprising needs to step up and join him. We'll see if that's going to happen. Map 2 after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
In week 4 of Stage 2, the San Francisco Shock were one map away from taking a big win over the Houston Outlaws. It all came down to Watch Point Gibraltar and one final stall to seal the victory.
And I don't know, Houston Outlaws getting very close.
As Jake's Tracer attempted to push the payload in alone with Linkzer's Widow in the back line, San Francisco's Nevix turned the tide with a smart hero swap.
Nevix is going to switch over to the May. They're throwing everything they can to stall this.
As May, Nevix used his ice barrier to cut off Linkzer's sightlines and allowed the Shock to return to the payload and forced Linkzer closer to the fight. The San Francisco Shock's defense pounced. Baby Bay, Sleepy, and Nomi cleaned up and ended the Outlaws' push and hope of winning.
Can't survive it. Overtime ticking, and it's only Jake between Houston and defeat, staying alive for as long as he can, but there goes OT, and there goes the win for San Francisco Shock.
San Francisco won the map and match against Houston. That right there was the turning point where Nevix and the San Francisco Shock turned a sour moment into something sweet. Presented by Sour Patch Kids Candy.
Yeah, spicy match that one was, or should I say sour and sweet match that was. I've got to say that was definitely when we had a feeling that San Francisco was starting to move onward and upward, but you could say the same about their opponents in this match, Matt. Boston also looking strong.
Yeah, it's going to be San Francisco, though. Takes map number 1 in this series. As you can see, Sour Patch Kids. I love Sour Patch Kids. I just need to get some more in the studio here. So
I just need to get some at all.
Yeah. As I say, he's deprived of his candy here, as you can clearly see. It'll be Nepal for our map number 2, which means it'll be Baby Bay who comes in for the San Francisco Shock. The stuff that we saw from him yesterday, on the Soldier 76, absolutely sick on this map, so expect to see him play a lot of Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to him this morning, had a bit of a chat with him. He's feeling pretty good, and he's kind of happy with how things are on the Shock right now. He's happy sort of stepping into a map like Nepal. Yesterday, I mean, he was carrying. He was absolutely popping off on that Soldier 76.
Yeah, he's somebody who I talked to, during the preseason, like right after the preseason, had a little, kind of get together with all the players and whatnot. We were just chatting a little bit, and he's, I just want to be on a team that wins. He's like, I feel like I am a player who, I am good enough to be on a team that wins Overwatch League, and he's like, I don't care if I play like just a
was that the Los Amigos night?
No, it was Sims's.
Okay, Sims's, right.
Probably was the Los Amigos night.
I'm pretty sure I made Jake do a shoey that night.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the world knows. Sorry, Jake.
Baby Bay was like, I just want to be a part of a winning team. Like, I can play whatever role they want me to. I just want to be a winner. So I think with all these new players coming into the lineup and, this team for the Shock, he's one player who's like, hey, tell me what my role is going to be. I'm going to be the best as I can be at that role and come in and kill it when I do.
Yeah. To quote him, we humble. That's what he says. And the Shock now, I mean, this team, especially with these new additions as well, we're just starting to see these young, hungry, aggressive players fill the lineup. But I mean, I've said exactly the same about Boston Uprising last season. Back when we were all having that, being shaken awake by the Boston Uprising being such an incredibly performing team, especially in the latter part of Stage 1. Well, just say about them. They're both young, they're hungry, they're out here.
And it just kind of happens, right? Because I feel like we Dreamcast were so sick in Stage 1 and Striker was so sick. It's like they are still that good. It's like now that we're just used to it, right? Like so
it's
now
like
you're
Fleta.
just used
We
to
never got excited about Fleta because we expected him just to wreck people from day one. Maybe day one we got excited. But we're jumping into Sanctum here, and we have the double Orisa set up as well. This is going to be fun.
Widowmaker on both sides as well. You get to see Sinatra play some Junkrat. Interesting enough. As a hero, we kind of know Sinatra as somebody who plays a ton of Tracer, some Genji, some Zarya. So it's good to see him play, many different heroes here.
Now, you can see their note trying to avoid being taken off the map by Orisa. He doesn't want to become pulled pork just yet. Oh, yeah, that's my boy! Sinatra in with 3 for 1. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when Boston sort of force themselves in that close quarters area and they eat a fat concussion mine. Give me that replay, son! I'm all about that. No, he's teabagging when he hasn't even killed anyone yet. This man is out of control. Somebody stop him! Okay.
I thought they nerfed that. Not that close a quarter.
No. I mean, if we learn anything about Houston Outlaws win today, is that Junkrat is still good.
Which I was surprised you haven't seen more of him throughout the stage, but the map pool doesn't really favor Junkrat. So
yes,
you'll see the Boston Assault here onto the point. That'll be a hook that comes in there from Note. They get Nevix low, they're able to take him out.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. Nevix, despite being immune from CC while using Take a Breather, he was still not immune to damage. He took a lot of it. Casper, though, great angle. He pushed a long way forward to pick off Sinatra. But now the Boston Uprising have the setup here. Behind the Orisa shield, Note just trying to do some housekeeping here. And he'll be set up with a whole hog once the Shock present themselves. And you're going to see Sinatra with a Riptire, so that powerful Junkrat ultimate. We'll see if he can get anything with it. With these large bodies on the point here for Boston. Maybe he'd be better off going after one of those supports.
All right. Well, Casper again found Nomi. So as soon as that shield came down, Casper's sitting right up the back and just took a couple of those headshots. Again, it is easy to hit Orisa in the head. It used to be even easier. I believe they actually made her hitbox smaller, much the same way they did as with Winston.
Yeah.
But much as Winston players still need to butt dive, we notice that Orisa is vulnerable.
Let's watch Dreamcast for a bit, because check this out. It's a 44% scoped accuracy, 86% crit accuracy. Right.
What? All right, so the shots that he's hitting, which is 40%, the vast majority of them are headshots. Again, if you're shooting at Orisa's head, that will happen. It's an easier target than some. Still, an impressive result. Casper! All right. What about that tire critical hit accuracy, Matt? That's the real stuff, yeah. Another headshot. Who is dealing with him right now? Who is dealing with Dream Casper?
I mean, you'd want to be Baby Bay, but you just see the positions he's playing in around the corner. That's the beauty about playing Widowmaker here when you control the point, because you can just have that action forced out onto the point. You don't have to
peek out.
Yeah.
So now, though, he does peek out to try and get rid of Baby Bay, who was damaging people on the point. Casper dies to Baby Bay in that exchange. Neko. Now it's the Transcendence coming out here. So Sinatra's brought back to life by Moth, and Neko does need to be careful, can still be displaced. There's Sinatra, he was thinking about it. Can I get him with this concussive mine? Low HP, Sinatra finishes the job. The man's getting a lot of frags here.
Yeah, doing a nice job. 8 final blows here. Believe that will be, that's tops in the lobby right now.
Tops in the lobby, fam. What does that mean?
Topping the lobby.
Oh.
Thought that was kind of self-explanatory.
Is this the lobby? I guess it is.
This would be a lobby. Server, lobby, whatever you want to call it.
TIL.
It's that Dreamcaster going on a bit of a flank here. Shots, Sinatra, no.
you know he had to do it. He did have the infra side. Okay, that's just beautiful. Dream Casper doesn't care.
Click heads.
What is this? I don't think this is even allowed on TV at this hour, man. I have to wait till after midnight for this stream. What are you doing? Gonna give me another kissy face in a second. It's gonna be all over. So now the Transcendence on the point. Dream Casper is actually, I thought he was aware of where Baby Bay was there. Perhaps not. He backs away though. Oh, poison mine. That was how he knew where the other Widowmaker was. That's gonna be it though. The Boston Uprising is killing it. Dream Casper.
Yeah, he finishes 57% scoped accuracy, 52% crit hits. It's pretty nasty there.
Gold standard, I feel, is, Linksa was saying this morning, I take it from Linksa, he was saying gold standard is like 25% crit accuracy, and like a good, 50-odd scoped accuracy in general, so Dream Casper is hitting twice the amount of heads than is considered already a very good number.
That is usually what we see. It's usually like 48 to like 50% scoped accuracy, and then anywhere from like 17% to like 22, 23%. Like that's usually like the highest we see. We saw Baby Bay though yesterday put up some pretty sick numbers on the Widowmaker as well.
That is true. Yeah, I mean he came in kind of cold in that series and started just wrecking it. That's what we'd like to see. So, second stage, Boston Uprising, good start. The Orisa play was fun. Orisa Hulk, both these teams had a very similar idea of how they wanted to play it, but we're back to the old classic dive from the Uprising. Whereas Baby Bay on the 76 for Shock is the big difference here.
I mean, it's not like Baby Bay had a bad go on Widowmaker, right? I mean, 9 ellipses, 4 final blows. But
didn't know he was good. He's very good.
It's just, Dreamcaster is just that much better. Really, Sinatra takes out Gamsu here at the beginning, but they jump right on top of Baby Bay, so they get that consistent damage of the 76 out of the way.
Striker takes a brief breather from the fighting, and now it's a good time to come back. Look at this. Look at the space he has to work with now. You can just pressure forward. It might take a little bit of poke damage. He does have Casper on his right side. Goes in with the pulse, gets eaten up though. Timing wasn't quite there for him. Nevik studiously chomps that one straight up, and Casper might be done here. Yep, he knows it.
He will have a blade for this next fight though, so builds up that Dragon Blade rather quickly. 51 seconds here at the beginning of the game. So you'll have this blade, you'll have a window of opportunity here where Moth won't have that sound barrier. Now Moth and Sleepy, as you can see, from my POV, coming back to the point. So looks like Striker are gonna try and go all the way around, maybe just one clip one of these supports. Sinatra having the same idea.
Just a very small amount of damage. Oh, wow. Straight away. Casper's shut down. Striker now dealing with Sinatra. So neither of those sort of going the way that we thought they would at all, Matt.
Interesting now, this fight, we live in a post-fact universe, apparently. Moth gets the D-suit on note there with the boot, and now we can see the Transcendence is allowing the Shock to play more assertively around this one. Given the fact that they already have control of the point, this is a very good result. Babybay's hunting for the flankers, but he doesn't know that Striker's off to his left. Now he does, and Striker has to feed himself into the beast.
It's the Babybay kill, though, on a Dream Casper that sets that fight up for the San Francisco Shock. As Dream Casper goes deep, their time Babybay goes a little bit too deep. Probably doesn't expect 2 or 3 members there.
How incredible does
Uprising?
How incredible does the World Cup team for the US look this year? I mean, look at all these all-star players here, like representing North America. It's just incredible, really. These guys are just kicking off, especially in this match. Babybay versus Dream Casper is one of my favorite matchups. So Nomi's found Gamsu here with a Primal Rage to start the fight off, and Striker still wants to plant himself on the point, hoping to draw some people from San Francisco back. That's allowed Casper to deal with Babybay here. He's out of the picture, and Note does have a self-destruct. Sound Barrier, Boston Uprising have all the stuff they really need, but they have to win the fight here and now. So this is the bare minimum, Matt, of what they should be getting in this particular round to stay in it. Nevix, unbeknownst to him, Striker's just wrecking the paint job from the backside, and Neko gets himself a D-suit and a kill on Gnome.
Yeah, I mean, Boston had to use everything they had there to try and flip the point back in their favor. All the Shock need is one fight to go their way. They'll take this point. Force the third one here on Nepal. As Sleepy now has Transcendence. Moth will have Sound Barrier. So you can use those ultimates. You can use the Transcendence to kind of get that Sound Barrier eventually. But Striker here, just coming behind the enemies time and time again. He's going to have that Transcendence come out a little bit earlier than they probably would have liked.
I mean, Striker is more than happy with that one. He could even have committed the pulse bomb just to have made things worse. But he's more than happy for San Francisco to come and die upon their own sword. Now Casper's got one of those. He's happy to supply. You borrow mine, he says. Nomi and Moth cut to ribbons. So Natra can clean up Casper here while he's hung suspended in midair, celebrating his little victory, Pyrrhic as it was. Well, the Boston Uprising retain control, and that's what's important here.
Striker going on the chain.
Pulse bomb, do it.
Ends up getting that mega health pack and then gets out of there. No pulse bomb used, but that was Sleepy was able to take out Gamsu at the beginning there, and then that Dragon Blade comes through. If they don't force that Transcendence, if Striker doesn't force Transcendence out a little bit earlier, they use that Transcendence, they're able to keep Moth alive enough where they would be getting Sound Barrier, and they would have gotten that pick on Gamsu, let's say, they would have been good to flip the point back.
Okay, so the Uprising actually giving a lot of space here, the Shock allowing them to move in. I see why now. The Transcendence allowing them to come forward. They couldn't quite pick off Moth before he got the Sound Barrier off, but it may not amount to much because Sleepy had his overshield completely chewed through, and Striker is not going to give Moth any time to escape. Using the recall, so he has a period of invulnerability. The Pulse Bomb may have claimed him otherwise. And the Boston Uprising now looking like they're sailing towards their first map of this series, winning 3 consecutive fights here.
And I think if you were San Francisco, you could have held on to that Sound Barrier as soon as Babybay dies. You know the Transcendence is used on the other side. Now you don't have a support ult. You're going in there against what almost, it's going to be a Kellic Sound Barrier here. Going to be very difficult.
The Sound Barrier is out fairly early in the fight, to be fair. Babybay immediately, instinctively peels back for Sleepy, but it's not actually enough to keep him alive because Gamsu joins the fray, and the Flaming Fists of Fury are there. And it will make life very hard for the Shock now. Babybay hasn't even been able to really think about going to the point, and he can't even win out against the Monkey Man. Gamsu with the magic drops onto the point, and now Nomi and Nevix, the last two here. The Shock's tanks are the last that's left, and that's when you know the Boston Uprising have done a good job of focusing the right targets down. Great map 2 from the Uprising. I've got a good feeling about this series, man. This is going to be spicy.
Yeah, it's going to be a very close series all the way to the end. They're tied up at the half. That time, though, it's Boston that gets the better of San Francisco in map number 2. That final point, though, San Francisco, they got up to 93%. They just misplayed some of those ultimates, though, towards the end.
Realistically, it's a map they should have had, especially that second round. They let it slip. We're worried they'd do it on Hanamura, but they didn't. So, everything hands in the balance now. Half time, we'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
The first map was a thriller, but Boston bounces back on Nepal to even up our series at 1 apiece. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the Blizzard Arena. We're closing out the night, and we have 2 more games at least to go. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. We've got Sideshow, we've got Bren, and we've got 2 games to talk about here. This first one, very exciting, very nerve-wracking if you're a Shock fan. Let's talk our fans through how this one played out. It was Hanamura. What were your expectations coming in?
I think my expectation was that we would see both teams try and play a lot of dive, given that we saw Dante and Sinatra in the lineup. And Boston Uprising tend to be very aggressive with it. They like all 4 of their players in the front line to go involved in the dive. And we don't really know how San Francisco Shock play. So I thought coming into it, Boston Uprising would have the advantage. Didn't quite turn out like that on the first time around.
Yeah, you were making comment there. You were saying you were expecting them to be very aggressive with the commitment of all their players, right, in the dive and whatnot. Now, Boston and Hanamura in particular, they like to run this sort of mercy attacking comp, especially when they're poking. We saw that a couple of times, but it was the adaptation, right? Shock just basically kept it very consistent across the board with their dive, Dante on the Genji, Sinatra as well, and it worked out to a degree. Their ult economy was pretty good, right, throughout it, but there were moments of weakness in my heart.
4 minutes of weakness.
It was 4
pretty
minutes
scary
of
there.
weakness. It was kind of all over the place.
Because
Boston,
this is classic Shock, isn't it? They have a massive advantage. They go into the time bank, they're like, easy, boys, we have 4 minutes. All we have to do is cap 1 point, and we've secured at least a draw. And then it's getting down to 30 seconds. They're like, yeah, guys, we need a clutch play to get this out. And that's how they did it. They ended up just clutching it. They lost a load of fights they should have won. And then they win one they shouldn't at the end.
Say thank you, Tanks and Dante, for dancing on the point. All right, let's get to our second game. You got the Shock with the first point in the match. Boston comes rallying back, though, when it comes to control. They're able to take Nepal. How do they get the job done? Who's the shining stars on this Boston squad so far?
Dreamcasper for the first round, without a shadow of a doubt, right? On the Widowmaker, he absolutely shut down Baby Bay time and time again, and it wasn't even funny. Like, again, making silly peeks like that. You know he's got the infrared sight up. You know you shouldn't be going for peeks like this. And yes, Baby Bay got 1 or 2, but again, look at that. There's another one right there. Again, Dreamcasper shut him down in this initial round and basically made it all too easy for Boston to take the first step into it. The next round, things changed around again. San Francisco Shock looked like they were running the better composition, but again, Sideshow, please go into detail on how they managed to throw this one away.
Yeah, I think that Soldier 76 Tracer is favored massively over Genji on that stage in particular. You're fighting up a hill, and you can see every entrance if you're the Soldier 76 that's defending. So as a Genji, 1 dash doesn't even get you to the point. So you have to be able to get at least half the distance before you even use your engagement ability. And that allows for so much damage from Baby Bay. And so I think they should have been able to take that, but Dreamcasper and Gamsu were able to flank around and upset a couple of positions, and then they threw away a lot of ultimates at the end, San Francisco.
Yeah, they did not get used as properly as they could have. But hey, the squad still shaping up, still figuring things out. Let's talk about the second half. Now, Sideshow, you are 1-1 on the day with your predictions. You got the first one wrong. Didn't see the upset from Houston over Seoul coming.
Who would?
Bren somehow did. So Bren's got a 1-match advantage here. I'm going to start with you after watching 2 games. You picked Boston in this one. Do you want Boston still in the second half? Are they the team to walk away as victors?
Yes, I'm going to stick with Boston here. Going on to Hollywood, another Widow v Widow map. I mean, classically, you might favor Baby Bay there, but Dreamcasper's been looking good. Overall, I think they got the better teamwork as well, while Shock figure things out.
Bren, you were on the Shock side of things at the start of this series. Are you still going Shock in the second half?
I'm torn. I'm torn between these 2 teams. I really am. They're both playing their hearts out, but I gotta say, the way Boston have been prepping, I think I'm committing. I think I'm switching. I'm going to do that old classic Bren maneuver. I'm going over to Boston. That's where I'm placing all my chips today.
The Brenji flip-flop. Surprise, surprise. Once again, Bren switching it up. I don't know how you wiggle out of these, Bren, but impressive work once again. Boston, the team to walk away as our victors today.
I've never seen a fish oracle before, Bren.
Well, you know, I read it in the waters. Boston were going to be winning. So.
They have very tiny brains, you know, fish.
All right, guys.
I can't. No, I'm not even going to go there. Listen,
Hollywood is coming up next, guys. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League when we return.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
The Boston Uprising and the San Francisco Shock are all tied up 1-1. We got us another close showdown going down right now. And you know what? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. I got flashes of Overwatch comp in that first map, Hanamura. When the attacking team was attacking, they won the fight on point A, and Boston decided they were gonna come back and try to challenge it. So then they got staggered, and the San Francisco Shock got point B free. Anybody had that happen to them in Overwatch comp? Am I the only one? Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. But Boston, they bounced back, they tied the game, and we still got a whole nother half left to go. So let's go ahead and kick it back to our casters to get us back into the action. Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Malik, bro. I'm surprised to get flashbacks to comp because he plays on consoles, so there wasn't any Torbjorn there. I don't know why you actually there was any connection.
Don't go on Malik like that.
What's wrong with playing on console, Matt?
Nothing.
Just different meta. Just a different meta, of course. So.
I do like how nobody was like, people who are probably in the crowd like, yeah, I've had that happen in the league, and I'm not going to clap for those people who do that to me. I refuse to.
It does happen, yeah. It's like because you want to agree with it, you know, but you also don't want to support them.
Hey, I have seen that happen. I have actually been a part of that happening, as I am just tilting into the oblivion as well. As it'll be Dante that comes in for Sinatra here. So you're gonna have Dante and Baby Bay. This is the lineup. No, obviously, Tack for Moth has been something I know kind of late, but this is the lineup that we see most of the time from the San Francisco Shock. That I think you'll see Dante probably play some Junkrat here. You want Baby Bay in for the Widowmaker, potentially like Pharah if you wanted to go that route. Yep. Dante can play Genji here, so I think this gives you a lot of versatility here on Hollywood if this is what you want to go.
Yeah, when I see Sinatra being subbed out though, I immediately think, okay, they're not interested in running a first point Zarya if they're attacking. The shot. Well, I feel like it would be unlikely, especially because you could run Sinatra with a bunch of other stuff. Or the Sombra. I didn't think of the Sombra for Dante will also be a good option.
Sombra on defense here on point A is very good. Because we did see Sinatra play King's Row for them yesterday. He played very good on that Zarya, right? Just building up those grabs, just...
really well, yeah. I mean, it's incredible how quickly he was able to get his ult. We've actually seen a bunch of Zaryas like throughout the week, like just sort of appearing where we haven't seen them before. I think it was like the London Soul game, or was it Prophet on the Zarya?
Yeah, it was Prophet on Zarya. We saw Munchkin on Zarya as well.
Not too bad.
Zumba today.
Yeah.
Very good Zarya player.
We always knew he was... I remember my favorite play from Zumba was in the World Cup 2016. Yes, he right-clicked the ground and shot himself out of the window, out of the last point on Iconball. It was so baller. Anyway. Let's get with it. Let's get here in the future, in the present, should I say. Boston Uprising. Let's have a look at the defensive setup here. 76. Will Junkrat be the go here? That's interesting.
76 up in the cafe. Junkrat spamming the choke. That's definitely a viable strategy we see a lot of teams use. Potentially, you could have run like Sombra here on defense. We do see some Moira on this map, on point A especially, right?
Is it more with the tankier comps?
Yeah, it's more tankier though. If you want like triple tank or quad tank, you would run that Moira.
It doesn't feel very Boston Uprising-y to me, to be honest with you. But in all fairness, this is also not a normal comp we normally see from Boston. They normally have the Tracer Genji, so.
San Francisco does want the Pharah, so that's why Baby Bay is in the game for the Pharah. On defense, you think they try and do something different, or maybe they just value Dante's Genji for the second part of the game, because when we do see Dante and Sinatra in the game, it's Dante playing that Genji.
Baby Bizzle might head over towards that Widow Mizzle for that second part of the map, bro.
Baby Bizzle. Yeah. You gotta call your ghostwriter back up. Writing you some new material here.
Baby Bay, though, regardless, his rocket's hitting much better than my rhymes. Connecting and forcing Boston Uprising essentially away from this point entirely. So already almost 2 ticks have been given, and now they've decided that's enough rope, but it may just be the shock of giving the Uprising enough rope to hang themselves with. Note gets desuited here. Casper, oh, Baby Bay, the disrespect look away. He knew he had the kill secured, and he's locking it down.
I absolutely love, though, how we have Baby Bay's like face cam up with this, because when Dreamcatcher comes at him in the sky, he has this like confused look on his face, like, what are you doing challenging me up in the air? As uses the rocket barrage to finish it off. You expect him to go Widowmaker here, yeah.
And to be honest,
second stage,
if we've got players like Baby Bay on camera, we might actually have to censor their mouth sometimes after those plays, just so we can't see the shapes they're making. Because I know exactly what Andre's saying right now.
I'll let it go.
All right, so the Widowmaker now. So the expected transition. So both Baby Bay and Dante make a switch. So I like this. They've got 2 tailor-made compositions for the 2 parts of this map. Hybrid and the escort part. Dream Casper has found Nomi to start us off. So.
Nomi, he's all the way on top of the high ground, basically by the jail here, right above where Dante's looking. So There's no way he could even stay alive. And Dreamcasper continuing his stellar Widowmaker play, taking out 2. So now, this is one of the more frustrating chokes to get through when there's a Widowmaker on the other side, right? Because if your Widow's not getting the picks, you're just kind of sitting there waiting.
The sideline is so good.
And on the defensive end, you're just so far away. Pulse Bomb doesn't exactly...
He doesn't do anything, he just kills him with the pistol.
And then just one clips him.
That Discord orb pretty heavy.
Still killed him though.
Yeah, kill secured, regardless of how. And Nomi with the Primal Rage, so he's obviously used this... maybe he was hoping to clear the high ground, or maybe he was hoping to knock Casper off, but Casper voluntarily stepped off the edge. It wasn't like he's being forced to walk the plank. Nomi's just up there like, all right, well, I'm gonna now try and intimidate you with my... beating my chest, I suppose. Regardless, so Babybay's been forced back himself because Gamsu now has entered the fray with Primal Rage himself, allowing him to get the D-suit on Nevix. Nevix responds by going for the self-destruct, and Striker now is looking for a big Pulse Bomb connection. Nomi's low on HP, and Moth has just managed to connect with him and heal him up. Oh, Casper, you get a melee thin air. Oh, Babybay had a shot on him. He gets a stay of execution though.
Transcendence that comes out here for the San Francisco shot. Able to keep them alive as they are continuing to move the payload here. Note will use the self-destruct on top of the payload. Just trying to get that mech back, slow some of the progress from the shock down.
Dreamcasper will set up on the jail, try and put Babybay behind bars. Oh, it's tense. They know each other's there, but Dreamcasper's quicker on the trigger finger. That's what we like to see. Dante falling down as well. And if you give this guy an inch, he will take a country mile. For the record, it's longer than a normal mile. I'm not sure by how much. I don't even work in miles where I'm from. It's a long distance. Casper just took it. Straight to Pound Town. Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, you're gonna run out of stuff for the end of the week. You better calm down over.
You act like you don't know me, Matt, but I know you do.
A few shots to come in there. Babybay's Dreamcaster's gonna use the in for sight. I know exactly where he's at now. You can see Kellex just holding on to that alt fire. Mercy on him, giving him that damage boost whenever he's available to.
San Francisco have been stalled up a little bit here. Dreamcasper has been an issue.
That was super cool though. You saw Babybay actually use the grapple hook right behind Nevix where he was standing up top, and then he gets the defense matrix just standing there right at him.
Who let Gamsu into the cookie jar is my question. Moth and Neko, Moth and Sleepy Shield, I said, were completely set up on. Gamsu just came in over the top. That looked like the most comfortable dive I've ever seen. San Francisco were not ready for that whatsoever. Were their tanks on the high ground, perhaps?
The issue is you have to put so much pressure on trying to get Dreamcasper out that you're not able to do so as he's...
He's getting rocked, man. He's just getting absolutely crushed in this battle.
And when a Widow is just feeling it like this, there's really nothing you can do, especially on this choke, right? You saw just there like a glimpse of it, like how far away Dreamcast was sitting from the rest of the San Francisco shot. If Babybay doesn't pick up those kills, can't get anything for it. Dante tries to throw that pulse bomb right on the spot that he thought he would have recalled to.
I like that though, that's the ultimate BM in the Tracer v Tracer battle, by the way. Sticking the other Tracer with a pulse bomb when you know they don't have recall. That's the ultimate, like, I have dominated you move.
They know they have Nomi weak up top as well.
And look at this, Striker wraps around, and because the San Francisco Shock are playing on multiple levels right now, the tanks can't be everywhere at once. Either Babybay's going to get jumped on, or the backline is. So far, it looks like both.
It's a nice use of defense matrix there by Nevix. We caught it for a split second when Moth was going for the res. Just looked up, used that defense matrix, so Striker couldn't land that pulse bomb. But man, ever since San Francisco took point A, they've not made any progress here. It's really been the Widowmaker of Dreamcasper that's just really shut everything down. You see this angle that he's playing from. What do you do? I mean, you have to have Nevix, Moth, and Babybay all try and focus him down, while trying to get Nomi in a position to put pressure on him and not just get headshotted as he jumps right into the fray. And if they do land a headshot on Nomi, what does he do? Dreamcaster just falls down, and then you just have Note and Gamsu just go up top, finish Nomi, and then just jump on the rest of the team.
The Shocker made some progress here, so they're getting that payload push. Casper has had to change his angle slightly. Dante will never know how close he was to being taken down there. Recall out of trouble. He realizes most of the uprising are now set up around the corner. Babybay taken down by Neko. It's not even Dreamcasper doing it this time, but Sleepy responds both sends, killing the opposite Widowmakers. That's a bit of fun. So it's a 5v5 right now in and around the payload. Self-destruct dropped in. See Gamsu hoping to get Nevix before he hit the ground, but Note finishes the job when he arrives. Transcendence in play. Striker looking to do something with this now. Very messy stuff, but Sleepy's been giving his team that much-needed healing. Neko was doing the same. Pulse Bomb still being held in hand for Striker. Looking at Moth, and Casper finishes the job. It's like Striker and Casper have exactly the same idea of what they want to be doing. but he didn't check his 6, and Baby Bay was waiting for him. 3 players for the shot moving forward. Now come the reinforcements for the Boston Uprising to stop this one in its tracks. We're in overtime here, but it's really just Nomi on the point. He's much more, again, of a protector than an aggressor in the game of Overwatch, and right now it looks like the Boston Uprising are the golden gatekeepers on Hollywood, preventing the Shock from getting to that the third stage of the map.
And right there, it is just Baby Bay and Nomi alive. Nomi uses Primal Rage. Same with Gamsu. So what happens is they get Nomi weak. Gamsu then changes focus over to Baby Bay and pushes him all the way back by basically like the gate. So he can't get any closer to touch the payload to extend that.
That's a complete shutdown. It didn't take the Shock a heck of a long time to get the first point. This is why it's that much more astonishing how long they were held on that second stage. I mean, Casper comes out of this one with 10 final blows, double the next closest player on his team, which was Striker with 5. Baby B only manages 3 final blows on that Widowmaker. It's got to be getting in your head a bit if you're Baby Bay, thinking, how am I going to deal with this Widowmaker presence from Casper? This man, just on fire.
I will say it's much easier in that position to play Widowmaker on the defensive end. To be the one up on that high ground already, to be the one that's shooting from the low to the high with only that slim area by that gate, or, you know, just trying to grapple up.
Just trying to peak his advantage somehow.
There's just not a lot of good avenues to do it there on offense. On defense, this is probably why you see Dante still in for Sinatraa and then go with Dante and Baby Bay, because you want his Junkrat or potentially Sombra as the game goes on.
Tracer, Genji, Junkrat, Sombra. Dante's picks. Baby Bay known, you know, for being the Soldier 76. Genji, Widowmaker, Pharah. That's sort of his top 4. We don't see much of his Genji anymore. He doesn't need to play it, of course, given his teammates. So, this is the setup for the Shock. And, you know, this probably, I feel like this suits Nomi a bit better, playing more of that static style here on that Orisa. And they're going to work around it, of course, with Widowmaker's going to be there, boosting Dante, spam the choke. The Pharah could be a little problematic. Baby Bay's going to have to be pocketed to deal with that threat.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to deal with this Pharah, especially we saw how good Baby Bay was with it on offense, because you see right away that forces Nevix up to the high ground, use that defense matrix, keep Baby Bay alive.
I feel like that's the only way that Nevix can give Baby Bay a leg up in this duel against Dream Casper. You can see chip damage, you know, patience coming out from Baby Bay, knowing that he can't burst Casper down unless he connects a Helix rocket, which at that range would just not be feasible at all. Moth low though. Casper wants to get in and around that shield, and now, no! They've moved inside the cafe. This is where the Pharah gets most of the damage done. Dream Casper can choose his entry point. Baby Bay has to shut this down because Note now just gets to follow up on the damage already being done by Dream Casper. Dante's in deep trouble. Oh, it's a direct hit with a rocket. Casper now starts to spread his wings just a little bit more again. The cafe getting turned inside out, and Dream Casper definitely at the forefront.
See, Nevix will get defect here. Kellex does have his Valkyrie if he decides to use it, but once they push them all the way into the back of the cafe, just so much splash damage from that Pharah coming down from Dream Casper. They're able to take point A with ease.
What do you do about that, man? Do you almost wish you'd seen the Shock play like a Widowmaker defensively on this map?
Well, that's the tough part about playing with that Orisa on the defense, is because you need that Orisa set up on that point to give that shield to the Junkrat to be able to put the damage down through the choke. If it's all coming from the air, you can't put that barrier of Orisa like up on the high ground, right? Like then it just loses so much value that as soon as Nomi gets pushed back, that's when things start to fall apart. So the Shock do pick up some kills, should be able to stabilize on defense. Now it'll be Baby Bay with that Peeker's advantage here. It's going to be a Rocket Barrage that comes in from Dream.
He wants to
stays alive through it.
Direct hit. One more, we get the job done. Baby Bay barely avoiding being taken down by Dream Casper. You can see the Boston, they're churning forward. They've actually built some momentum. It was a very scrappy fight while we were discussing that sort of Pharah Widow sort of dynamic. While that was happening, it was just a little bit of brawling, so nothing overly consequential. But now the Boston Uprising are able to continue pushing forward. They've removed Baby Bay from the situation again. Dante's taken down by Dream Casper. This Pharah is wreaking so much havoc on the Shock, so much so that Baby Bay's gone for the McCree to try and stop and stem the blood flow.
Now that you actually turn this corner, you can keep playing this far, right? Because all you have to do is just keep spamming these doorways with rockets.
Yeah, there's no hit scan vantage points now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't mind if Nomi comes out, right? Just keep putting down rockets
on that McCree, on that Junkrat. Dante does have this Rip Tire to use. Casper doesn't want to opt into the battle against Baby Bay. He's taken down by Note, who gets himself too. Talk about Death Note. I think that's what we've got to call him right now. Scribe it on the outside of his mech, and whoever's name it is ends up dying. Moth goes down, and Echo here. Nomi actually has the Discord orb on him, so it's not going to last long. That's a wrap. Yibbity, that's all, folks. And it's going to be the Boston Uprising to take Hollywood away, and it didn't look hard. The Pharah pick completely taking the shock off guard. Nothing they could do about it, or at least it seemed that way, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of final blows, which obviously are effectively kills, it's 40 for Boston, 14 for the Shock. So when you have that big of a disparity, you're going to have that lopsided of a game.
Check these orbs. Love to see it. Slow-mo action. Boston Uprising now go up one map. Can end it here. We'll see map 4 just around the corner.
They see 9, they see 9. Mercy.
Oh, call. I'm racing, I'm racing.
Oh, Widow, right side. Come on, baby. Widow, payload. Baby, go cart. Monkey.
I know Widow. Nice, monkey.
Monkey's ulting. Monkey. I'm on monkey.
Everybody.
Monkey cut.
Wow.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Well, I have to say, Matt, the last couple of weeks have been exhausting for the San Francisco Shock because so many of their matches have gone, all the way. Some to 5 matches as well, maps as well. We've seen that previously. They've had to play their overtime. But you're not feeling terrible as San Francisco, because Route 66, I like them on this map. I think Dante brings so much depth to the team on the Sombra generally, makes them look quite good on this one.
Yeah, Sombra is one of Dante's better heroes. We'll get to see him play it here on Route 66. We also see Sinatra come back in here for the San Francisco Shock. So you think that means they want to play Sombra and Tracer? When they don't want to run the Sombra, they'll be running Genji.
That's interesting. I mean, this is now, in my opinion, using air quotes, the big guns when it comes to Route 66 and knowing just how good Sombra is on this map. Play the Sombra Tracer if you really want. Interesting they're not really, including like a dedicated Widowmaker here, though, if it's going to be that kind of setup with Dante and Sinatra. Normally it would be, like a Baby Bay in this position to do that.
We saw Sinatra play a little bit of Widowmaker the other day. I believe it was on King's Row, the start of that. So I believe we did see that. So
maybe that's the play.
Maybe we do see that, but nah, I think if you're going to run... We saw them run Sombra Tracer, I believe, yes, on this map. So then you're going to see Sinatra and Dante with that Tracer Genji on offense.
Okay. We'll jump in here. I mean, I'm curious to see how Boston respond to this now. Again, a team that loves to get aggressive. They're going to try and force out a lot of the positioning, the San Francisco Shock.
If you're Boston, you see this lineup come out, why not run Pharah?
There's no reason not to. In fact, they might anticipate it. It depends if they are looking at the lineup right now of San Francisco and going, will there be a Widowmaker? Unlikely, based on the individuals
would there even be a 76?
Unlikely on this map.
Or even like a McCree? Probably not. So
McCree is possible if you're playing an anti-Sombra attack. We see that a lot, actually. Like Roadhog, Diva, like double flex tank plus the McCree.
We do see that.
That's like the anti-Sombra, like pretty
on
much.
Offense.
Yeah, you don't have fun playing Overwatch kind of comp.
You just have a ton of abilities, obviously, to kind of corral that Sombra in, right? You can use the Flashbang, the hook, just kind of run at her with Defense Matrix and some missiles. Kind of hunt them down. Dreamcasper will go with Widowmaker here on the defense. Then no Sombra comes out just yet. Striker will play Tracer. So it kind of, when you want to run the Widowmaker, then you have to run Mercy, and then you want to run, obviously, Zenyatta as well.
What they were discussing for Striker. He sat on Lucio for a while, maybe going, hey, maybe McCree is an option here, to protect our backline a bit more. But for the Shock, Nevix probably just fires off a Sonic Arrow here. Nothing major, but it's full dive for San Francisco. We need to see that lethality. Sorry, I'm clapping, excuse me. In their dive, we need to see that aggression. They need to pressure Dreamcasper now out of position.
As a team. Not as one or two players going out.
That's starting to sound like a DPay speech now, Matt, come on. Yes, it goes without saying.
Nomi getting into the back line. He's there with Dante. Dante actually doesn't make it up to the high ground. He ends up on the lower part of it. And there's 3 dead there for the Shock. So they're going to have to back out, regroup. They did a nice job, Boston, peeling in the back, able to protect Dreamcasper, keep him alive.
Suffice to say, the dive for San Francisco didn't work straight off the bat. But perhaps they stick with it and just hope to tweak a couple things. Again, it's one thing to have the team composition for dive, it's another thing to actually execute it. Use any of your lived ranked experiences to justify that analogy. Sinatra does know there's a gatekeeper right now. It's going to be Gamsu. So, again, just trying to circumvent the boorish Simeon Guardian.
Well, it's tough routes for a Tracer on this map, especially when they run Widow, because if you go through big earls, that's where the Winston's going to be. That's where the enemy Tracer's going to be. If you try and go on that far right, it's easy sightlines for the Zenyatta and the Widowmaker.
Notice that Sinatra just wanted to poke Gamsu and just get some chip damage on these tanks and force them back, and yet still no jumps into the fray, and Boston spring forward. This has been the #1 issue for San Francisco in the past, is having this cohesive dive. Nomi, Sinatra, and Dante all on the same page.
And I mean, look, Sinatra just comes into the lineup. You can't expect this to just kind of work instantly as soon as you put him in.
But to win this map, I think they need to be able to do it here.
Yes, they do. I completely agree with you there.
Striker's pulse bomb. Looks like it's looking at a support right now. Ooh, waits out the defense matrix. Using it there would have been a waste. It would have been sucked into the abyss. Or wherever Diva stores the many, many pulse bombs that she's eaten in her time. But the payload's been moving this entire time. So Boston eventually going to be forced to move out of this long-range setup and come and fight the Shock. So that's how they're trying to provoke a dive instead of creating one themselves. Primal Rage inside Big Earl. That's dangerous. Dante knows he doesn't want to get anywhere near that big body right now. Gamsu causing problems for the Shock. Dunter, Dragon Blade might be on the menu here, but waiting for that Transcendence to expire is the most important part. Or perhaps just save it here, because the Shock are getting some headway in this fight now. Sinatra's had some space, roaming around to pick off the backline. Neko fell to his hand. Nevic's getting pushed along, and they'll get there in the end. The Shock managed to work their way around some initiation issues.
Yeah, 2 final blows for Sinatraa in that fight. He gets a first big one onto Dreamcasper as he's trying to come around on a flank. As the Widowmaker trying to get a little bit of a better sight line. As you know, it's a pretty big kill with how Dreamcasper has played on Widowmaker thus far this series. Now you have an opportunity here for the Shock, right? You can kind of steamroll from point A all the way to point B. You have that Dragon Blade to use versus no support ults on the other side.
Always a good sign. Infrasight used here by Dreamcasper. And now he'll start to clean up a little bit more. Again, you can see it where everyone is inside that small room in the Shock are being picked apart as they try and retreat. That fight's definitely well and truly over. Despite Sinatraa having a Pulse Bomb and Dante having a Dragon Blade, the Shock just lost too many early.
And you see he actually lets Nevix walk out of the spawn because he doesn't want to fire that first shot into it. Eva wants to actually just headshot one of those supports or maybe that Genji coming out of the spawn. If he fires that first shot on Nevix, he's
gives it away, doesn't he?
There, yeah.
Let the cat out the bag. The last thing Casper would really want to do. Dunter is just trying to bait him into a shot. At that range, it can be kind of tricky to get a proper reflect headshot. You have to have your reticle very much on the enemy while you're jumping across the gap. It's worth a try.
It's extremely hard to time as well, because if you don't time it correctly, you're kind of just standing jumping there in the open. You're going to get killed.
Casper is going to get jumped on here. Kellex, there's no way he's getting away from that one. That's one way to clip a Mercy's wings, and Casper's going to be the next to fall. Dunter, he waited on the Dragon Blade that last fight, and it worked out. Sinatraa fighting Neko with the headshots, of course. Again, Neko's had a lot of trouble with Sinatraa in general this map. 3 final blows for Sinatraa, 2 of them have been Neko.
So you will have a Transcendence here for Sleepy. So the shot, that big support ultimate going to have Sound Barrier as well. And it looks like you'll have Kellex with that Valkyrie. Could keep everybody alive long enough to maybe get a Transcendence for Boston. So a lot of big support ultimates coming up in this next fight.
Sinatraa again. His job is just to check that high ground. Everyone's going in from the low though. Neko. You can see Sinatraa dashing in front, behind, and in front. It's very confusing to try and deal with, especially as the Zen is charging orbs. Casper found him though. The Peacemaker rings true. Sinatra's head goes rolling, and now Dante. Maybe he steps up to the plate here. Or not, as he realized he drew the consternation from the tanks of the Boston Uprising. And now it's going to be a Transcendence kind of forced here. The Shock want to stay and fight despite losing Sinatraa early on in the fight here. There's a feeling that they can grind this one out.
I mean, he's already back. It's going to have Neko use his Transcendence now. As soon as Nomi jumps on top of him, Moth will use the Sound Barrier. Connects with 4 members there of the San Francisco Shock. As Kellex will fall, Neko getting very low. Sinatraa pushing him all the way back. Connects with a Pulse Bomb on him there at the end. There's just Gamsu now coming out of the spawn. Shock should be able to make quick work of him and take point B.
Okay, so credit to the San Francisco Shock. Instead of having to initiate these big dives, they're just sticking to the payload, breaking line of sight with the payload, and they're forcing Boston to respond. Now that Boston sort of are running this McCree composition, there's still a feeling that they kind of want to set up and play safe, but eventually, San Francisco are forcing an engagement, and then Dunter, earlier on in that second stage, got that big Dragon Blade to respond with. Counter dive, I guess, is one way of looking at how they're trying to navigate this. Neko, there's no way he's going to survive that one. The dive is looking very good now. That was an excellent execution coming out from the San Francisco Shock. It had to be a Dragon Blade committed to the fight, and Striker used a Pulse Bomb to try and deal with Nevix. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, you knew if you are San Francisco, there's no support ultimates up for the Boston Uprising. So, well, you know you can locate 2 members. Let's get a quick fight in our favor. Start to move the payload closer towards the end of the map. Use the Dragon Blade. Now, if Dante is going to work his way up back towards another Dragon Blade. May see one more here on this map. But you see Sinatraa getting close to the spawn, has the Pulse Bomb now.
Drops it, hits the barrier. Sinatraa, no time to really be frustrated at that. Needs to continue while trying to whittle Gamsu down. Primal Rage now coming out from the Winston from the Boston Uprising, and Nomi won't get away. He's decided that he's not noteworthy as the Diva cuts him down from Boston. And that will force a full-scale rout from the San Francisco Shock. They're at a point now in the round where they're a long way away from the payload compared to their defending opponents, and there's only a minute left. They've got to make sure they get a clean fight win to end the round.
Sleepy will have another Transcendence, Moth will have Sound Barrier, and then the big thing is if you can use one of those ultimates to get the, to hold on to the other, right? So if you use the Transcendence to get that sound barrier, Neko will respond most likely in using his own Transcendence there for Boston. The only support ultimate they have, then you'll have that sound barrier to combo with this Dragon Blade.
Theorycraft, I like it. Let's see if it plays out that way, Matt. Nevix gets blown up, or at least his mech does for the time being. Not the way you would have liked, by the way. I know what you're thinking. Striker getting pocketed now and has a chance to move back forward. Good pulse bomb, and yeah, again, that just takes
have to back out.
The legs out from under the shock. However, they've managed to save a lot of those ultimates here, so their Transcendence is still there. But if they get staggered like this, Striker knows exactly what he needs to do right now. There may not even be enough time for the full 6 of the shock to get to the payload. It is rolling back in their direction, in all fairness.
Well, the issue is now you've lost this window where Kellex will end up earning himself this Valkyrie. So it'll be a sound barrier to open things up. Here's the Deadeye that comes in from Dreamcaster. You see the skulls coming up. That's going to be the Transcendence. The response is Valkyrie holding on your own Transcendence because you know Dante has that blade.
Boston Uprising now, both of their ultimates have been drawn out here. No deals with Motho, the Dragon Blade here. Dante's looking for Neko, but he might put himself in a position where he can't follow up with any more kills. Yeah, he runs straight in towards the Winston now. The blade's gonna have to be sheathed, and Dreamcasper shuts down Sinatra. Skeet shooting time as the clay pigeons fall. Casper deals with Dante in the air, and the Boston Uprising stand tall. And the San Francisco Shock do falter again, in characteristic style, I'm afraid to say, towards the end of the map. I do like the adaptations we saw from them. I do think the attacking side is going to be the weaker side for San Francisco. We've seen their defenses be very, very good in the past.
So you can take a look from Dreamcaster's POV here. Neko used the Transcendence, kept a few players up. Dante used that blade. It was really that fight previously where I was talking about it, where Neko had the Transcendence and Sleepy had his. Like, maybe if you're the Shock, you could have used that Transcendence to go in, force action, which kind of almost prompts, Boston in a way to use their Transcendence to stay alive through that, right? To get that extra healing. Then coming out of that, you could have used that blade, maybe.
Again, if you're the San Francisco Shock and you're trying to dive on Boston, it's like trying to teach Michelangelo what the golden ratio is. It doesn't really work. Tough to force out those mistakes from a team who knows exactly how to force them out themselves.
Well, we've seen a lot of other teams do it. They lead in with the Transcendence, with your Winston and your Genji, right? And then you get so deep in, you get onto Neko, he uses Transcendence right away. Some of your healing wears off. You're still able to stay alive long enough, though, that you're going to have that blade to use once that Transcendence is starting to wear off. We see NYXL do that a lot with Libero, right? He just kind of goes in. They have a Transcendence of their own, they're able to fly on through, and then they end up using the blade towards the end of that.
Credit to Dante, by the way. Genji, which is maybe a less played hero of his as opposed to his Tracer and his Sombra and such. 8 final blows for him. Been around for 3 deaths, so that's very, very good. Especially towards the end, he really started to make these big Dragon Blade plays happen. And this is interesting, right? The Casper McCree definitely gives me a feeling of, we know Sombra's going to try and drop in. We're going to try and neutralize her as early as possible. I'd love a Neko May here, but I don't think it's likely. Maybe not until the last stage where it's possible.
This will really be about how Boston deals with this Sombra pick. Can they get Dante early? Can they not let him build towards that EMP?
I would not hate a Gamsu hog here either. Bit of extra pick potential, snowball that stuff. I mean, again, now both Sombra and Tracer are threatened, and you see Casper's waiting. He's not playing proactively here. He's waiting for a flanker to appear, and now he's positioning purely in and of itself will zone Dante to the outside, but Dante's getting a bunch of chip damage. Look at his ultimate percentage tick up, 83% already. So, in a sense, to really counter this Sombra, you can't just force her away, you need to blow her up.
Could you play it a little bit of like a beefier comp of such, where you had Dreamcaster play the Roadhog and then run Node on Diva, Gamsu on Winston, and then you actually could have put Striker on the McCree if you wanted to. It's a big EMP there. You're like, get Echo, but the payload still continues smooth. So the payload has made decent progress, although that EMP comes out, guarantees that first fight for the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, the payload made some progress, but the Uprising is still going to have to play mostly around that hairpin turn. So that's sort of prime territory for Dante to cause problems, because you can get through the underpass there, just where Casper walked past, you can go over the top. There's so many ways to get around behind the enemy without having to use a translocator, and you can use that purely just for the escape. But this is the dive. This is what I like. Take the initiative away from the Shock. Prevent them from getting Dante in position to do damage. Jump in over the top. Do what you're good at. Dive is what the Boston Uprising do. Gamsu's fallen though to Sinatra's pulse bomb. And Neko's looking low, so this needs to be big from Striker. Oh, Anna, it's a small hitbox, hard to connect.
Yeah, it's a pulse bomb from Sinatra that takes out Gamsu there.
the beginning of that fight, as I know, the match against the Mayhem, this is where we saw Sinatra play his best, on this map. Where you really saw him come alive on that Tracer. They have another EMP here, a nano boost as well. Both support ultimates here for Boston, so you have to try and make sure that Kelix and Neko don't get hit by this EMP. And you see they're trying to really kind of bait him into it, as Kelix and Neko playing pretty far back.
Boston lack pick potential as well, so Dante won't be punished for bad positioning unless it's right next to a McCree, or if he gets right-clicked. Oh, that happens! This is what you do. Take the initiative away. Don't let Dante set up. You set up on him. Start styling. Disco dance on his corpse now. The Boston Uprising were able to push forward and Dreamcast, but now he's feeling good. As McCree, you love sitting in a position like this, knowing that there's no flankers that can get up behind you because you have all those avenues of approach covered. Boston just gonna mail it in, Matt. Literally, send it airmail.
It looks like San Francisco's getting ready for another push, though, and this may not be it. As the Pulse Bomb comes out from Striker, doesn't hit anything. It'll be Transcendence that comes out early here for Boston before that EMP comes out.
Okay, so if Boston win this fight, it's all about getting their positioning right as they come out of Big L's. Casper goes to Deadeye just to get the finish. He's stuck and he fights Sinatra. No, he does get a big shot on the Tracer, but it's not enough to get rid of him entirely. Striker now will need to worry about Sinatra later on, as he's already causing havoc in the backline, and the Shock come back in for the fight. This is incredible. Great timing. They come in with the Transcendence, Matt. It keeps them safe and healed up as they move into the payload, and that's where the fight begins. Love to see it. Dreamcast was still here, though. No with the Bunny Blast to get the D-shoot on Nevix, and that's it.
And the EMP, they're only connected with Gamsu as he's Primal Rage. It's still a big EMP, right? He's not able to jump around, cause a lot of chaos, but they use the Transcendence because they're coming out onto the car. You figure use the Transcendence to win that fight, but Transcendence from the Shock keeps them up. They're able to use an EMP right after.
Oh man, there's an EMP around the corner. Boston might be in deep trouble here now.
Boost as well.
San Francisco setting up. They've got the Transcendence as well. Everything is going right now for the Bay Area boys, and it's time for them to finish the job. 12 seconds remain in the round, and this is going to be a very well-calculated dive. Casper goes in, finds him off, Nevix is down. This could be it. EMP, but is it too late for Dante to bring this into the fight now? Is he better off just saving it? That's the question. Sinatra, though, it's up to him. He's gone big already. He's found Dream Casper and Kelix. The Mercy is missing on the side of the Boston Uprising. Sleepy's down, though. No healing available, and there it is. The checkpoint came up in the flurry of action. The Boston Uprising.
I believe that was a backup there.
Wow.
There you go. Sinatra was able to kill two, and I think I saw Gamsu a note on the payload and just kind of had to go a little bit further, and it went on in. It went through about halfway through that last fight.
That's nutty. Love to see it. And now the Uprising can start to move up a bit. In all fairness, that's maybe why the Shock didn't go for any of those big ultimates. Dante kept that EMP. Bad back cap.
I mean, you also had a Moth die really early, so you weren't able to do something. That'll be a nano boost onto Nomi, and then an EMP to start the fight. You're able to get Kelix out early before the Transcendence came down, so Boston kind of burns that Transcendence there. May not really get a ton of value out of it.
Self-destruct here. Gamsu has the bubble, actually. He could have just saved Primal. He might have died if he hadn't done it. He had his bubble up in 1 second. Opts not to go that way. Takes a chunk of damage from the self-destruct. And now he's trying to deal with Dante, who just translocates out to safety. However, Boston continue to march on.
So see Moth move from Ana over to Lucio here. Just provide a little bit of better speed, disengages. Kelix will use Valkyrie as it's going to be Nomi using Primal Rage, trying to knock Neko back, and then Nomi uses that Primal Rage to jump right back to the rest of his team. Sick pulse bomb there from Sinatra.
I didn't even see him use that. He was backtracking, backpedaling, and then just throws the pulse bomb in Gamsu's direction. However, the very dedicated player for the Boston Uprising is back on his feet, and look at this, San Francisco are going to disengage. Much the same way as they did come back onto that first checkpoint, they can do it here as well. They need to re-engage, but Striker could throw a spanner in the works before this fight even begins.
They have to be careful when they run out because Dreamcast has this Deadeye as well. They'll be able to use this. Oh, he actually sees Dante. As soon as he comes out with that translocator, drop a pulse bomb down on the supports, and he lands it right on Sleepy, who he has Transcendence as well.
That's just big. Losing Sleepy there is incredible. Oh, the flash! The cancel into the flash tree. Casper's got the mechanics. Love to see it. Oh, it's so beautiful to see a McCree there be able to deal with that Sombra. Quick cancel into flash. Into you're gone. And now the Boston Uprising, the goal reveals itself before them. They need to get to the end of this last stage here within 1 minute and 30 seconds. And that would be the series. If not, map 5. And I wouldn't be complaining about that.
So you still have an EMP here for Dante. You think the EMP is a fight win there, as That was a big one. You're going to connect with more than 3 players there.
Yeah, Nomi, it's so easy for the Winston then just to deal so much damage in that case, but it's a 2 for 2 after the EMP comes out. The self-destruct does very little except force the shock to kind of disengage. Perhaps they were going to do that anyway with Casper starting to get those couple picks off, but it hasn't slowed Boston up. That's the most important part. Time is of the essence right now. Sinatra, this might have been more than he bargained for. Flash, Sinatra knew instinctively he had to blink as soon as a recall had finished.
It's out of harm's way barely. It'll be Kellex using the Valkyrie here. They're going to use the moment to try and engage. Sleepy gets jumped on again. So you're not going to have a use of Transcendence yet again here as... Oh, it's that sound barrier to keep Nevix alive, allowing a DMAC.
What timing? The payload's still moving, by the way. The Shocker actually just getting brushed aside. I mean, literally and figuratively here, if you look from Gamsu's perspective, Moth is trying to get in a position to get himself back onto the payload here. But look how low they all are. Transcendence in play, but Casper can't shut them down. The Deadeye would have been the answer, but Nevix is there with the defense matrix to stop it. And now Casper's put himself in very aggressive positioning. Very dangerous now for the McCree to play so close. Dante's lucky to be alive, but he found Note in the meantime. Casper with the 1 kill, but that may not be enough here. There needs to be more done by Boston in general. And yes, Casper's coming out with these picks, but there's 5 seconds left. 5 seconds, the payload is scared meters away from the goal, but there's not going to be any time. We are going to get ourselves on map 5 here. The San Francisco Shock bring the Sombra back in. The characteristic defensive strength of this roster guarantees them the map 5.
Pretty similar to yesterday's match. They win a Route 66 to force a Game 5. But can they get it done today? They end up losing that Game 5 to the Mayhem yesterday. San Francisco trying to go 1-1 on the week. Be good to see Sinatra get his first win.
No doubt about it, of course. Control map will be that final one. So, again, a bit of a tough one for the San Francisco Shock in map 2. Let's see if they can rewrite the wrongs of the past. Map 5, we wanted it, we needed it, we deserved it, we got it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Well, Matt, San Francisco and Map 5 starting to go together like San Francisco and ridiculously high rental prices so far. It's been the thing for them. They're getting the full length, full value out of these matches. And hey, for a team that's not going to be competing in the playoffs, extra matches on stage or games on stage couldn't hurt, right?
Get some more games. You know, potentially you could have gotten a win yesterday against the Mayhem. You have a chance here today against the Boston Uprising. Map 5 will be Ilios. Interesting here, Mitch. No subs. No Baby Bay comes in for Ilios. You would think that, you know, after how they played the 76 on Nepal against that dive, you're like, okay, maybe we just want to run dive ourselves. What happens if Ruins comes up, though?
I mean, again, who's the Widowmaker on San Francisco? Do we see Baby Bay have to try and challenge out... sorry, do we see Sinatra try and challenge out Dream Casper? The man who's just going absolutely nuts on the Widowmaker earlier this series?
Or what about even like a, Lighthouse, which potentially could be one of the ones you see, or maybe like a Pharah play.
Genji Tracer, a lot of this, I think that's why it's Dante's lineup here. There's no maps to me that scream Junkrat or Sombra necessarily. You can play her on Ruins, not bad. Don't love it.
They played her on Ruins the other day.
Yep.
It's Sleepy play Sombra, and then they ran Moth
That's
on
right,
the
the single support.
Mercy, yeah. It just didn't really work out there.
Nah, fam. So yeah, a Genji Tracer dive is sort of fine. I mean, the first map is going to be sorry, spoilers, guys, but that's the way it is. So I don't feel terrible about that comp at all. It's probably going to be mirror comps for the entirety of the match, though, unless Casper wants to go to Pharah. Okay.
Well, he probably wants to play Pharah because you don't see Baby Bay on the other side.
Genji Tracer does not do much to Pharah.
So you know that if Baby Bay's not in, you can kind of tell, like, you're not going to see a 76. You're not going to see another Pharah, right?
I don't know, Matt. I think maybe the Shock could have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque, and maybe I feel like a sub would have been great for them here, just in terms of theoretically in terms of the compositions, right? While we're out here theory crafting, Dream Casper is not going to have a heck of a lot to keep him under the thumb here. This is just exactly what he wants to play against comp-wise.
What you can do here is you can just have Nevix be the one that focuses Dream Casper, just kind of keep poking at him, use that defense matrix, but you have to be aggressive and kill the players on the ground. That's what the remaining members of the Shock need to do.
Okay, these two teams have just swapped sides of the map. I'm not even kidding you. So it looked as if that the Shock were trying to get into the back line of the Uprising, which had just been rotating around with the front line. 1-for-1 trade, Kellex brought back into the fight. That Mercy now, of course, which is primarily on board for Dream Casper's sake, helping out to bring the Lucio back into the fold. And yes, late in the fight, it is the Pharah starting to do some work from Dream Casper. Striker bites off a bit more than he can chew. He's forced to back out. But once the Boston Uprising have control at this point, and they have a Pharah, things get doubly difficult for the Shock.
I mean, a lot of damage in this first fight comes from Dream Casper. 40% of the team damage in that first fight. So
you need to mitigate this, and you need to do it now. You need to actively do something to counter this.
You can dive the players on the ground and have Nevix focus him with the defense matrix. You just need to get those players on the ground quick.
But I feel like Boston have such a good anti-dive backline. They have a Mercy, they have a Lucio who can boop your way. So you're getting a bunch of healing pocketed. Well, meanwhile, obviously, Striker's just having his way Sleepy. Again, where's your healing now? San Francisco, it's pretty much non-existent. Neko is dead to Sinatra though, so at least it's 1-for-1.
That's the issue of having Nevix try and be the one who takes care of Dream Casper, because you would like that defense matrix for Sleepy Moth in the back. It's going to be a recall. Gets him right back up.
I think he just got the cooldown the last second there, so good timing by Striker. He kept an eye on his cooldowns. Could have been toast there, could have been straight down the well. Gonna wait around the corner and come back in. So Dream Casper returns to the fight. He has a barrage here. We'll see that Dante is close to a Dragon. But yeah, Sinatra's had to switch to the 76. So I'm happy to see, the Shock being proactive about this decision. Because you can't just hope for the best with the Genji Tracer and deal with a player like Dream Casper. Sinatra's on the hit scan. Does make you wonder where Baby Bay is in this map.
Yeah, and Dante's going to switch off of Genji over to Tracer. At 97% to the Blade. Maybe try and use the Blade there, but you're going to switch off of it.
I mean, yeah, there's no Transcendence to play it into. The one ult that could really mess you up there? I don't know, I think Kellex might have a sound barrier, but it's not the same. So Gamsu drops in here. Doesn't quite get the damage from the initial impact, but he has a Primal Rage, which he might need to use here. Yeah, Transcendence drawn out of the San Francisco Shock, and that is the perfect result for Gamsu. No casualties on the side of Boston. Get rid of that support. Oh, now Casper can come in with the barrage. Yes, to all of the above. And it's going to be a D-suit, and Dante will be claimed. And now the rockets will start raining in, and this is where it gets ugly.
When you get forced into this tiny area. This is where it can get dangerous for the Pharah, where you start to get down towards the ground. That's where you can start to see kills go in favor of San Francisco. And he actually is. Sinatra uses Tag Visor and Dreamcatcher knocks him back into the well.
Well, clearly Danger is Dreamcatcher's middle name. Jonathan Danger Sanchez, he doesn't care. There was a Winston running at him and he sneaks in a cheeky concussive blast just to shut Sinatra down. Oh, yes. I'm going to steal a quote from my boy Sam, but the Shock are getting styled on right now. San Francisco shook, anyone?
So we'll see how they respond on the next map, whether it's Lighthouse or Ruins. It'll be Lighthouse here, so.
Oh, that's actually, I mean, that is not actually a bad thing.
No, that's actually probably good for the Shock. Right?
But it's still a good Pharah map, so that's the downside to it.
Yeah.
This is still a good Pharah map for Dreamcatcher.
And this is one of the maps that it's harder to play something like a Widowmaker on, to kind of counter it, as we can see this.
Oh my gosh, the boot. Yeah, you can see it. Nevix and Nomi
barely
can get back in.
over.
And it's almost like Sinatra is body blocked as well because he ended up falling sort of behind Nevix and maybe couldn't have walked back. That's rough. And I wouldn't be surprised now to see Sinatra stay on a hit scan. That's respect for Dreamcatcher, and it's justified considering his impact now over this map. It's been huge.
Then I guess the downside for the Shock is if you win this, it goes to Ruins, right? Then you got to deal with his Widowmaker as somebody with a hero pool as large of Dreamcatcher just causes a ton of issues for opposing teams, right? That's what we talk about, when you have like subs, that's great, right? You can bring in different specialists and whatnot, but it also makes you like susceptible to when teams kind of have an idea of what you're going to run. And you have players as versatile as Dreamcatcher, you can just keep in and run whatever.
For the record, Defran used to play the Tracer on Selfless and Sinatra played the 76 before they swapped roles. So this is not like a off-the-wall pick for Sinatra or whatsoever. This is actually a very good one for him. And this has been a good start to this one by the Boston Uprising. Now Casper's getting some attention, but you can see that already San Francisco transitioning over to the point.
And Sinatra 76 was good on for the little part that he ran it, right? He built it to attack visor in pretty much one fight rather quickly. So, I mean, right now, 42% weapon accuracy, putting down 27% of overall team damage, second and final blow. So putting together a pretty good game.
All right, the Shock seems to have recovered the composure somewhat. No bit of time for it. Dunter, there's a pulse bomb in his back pocket. Question is, whose name is on it? Sinatra can drop off here. Oh, that was super cheeky from Gamsu. It always looked like he was going to stay up on the high ground, but he dropped off with Sinatra. Had a chance to pick him up there, but no gets desuited. So this would be probably another failed assault here, despite Casper's valiant double barrage effort. Will be enough for the fight for the Uprising.
But both supports alive here for Boston. They're going to have to just run away here, save on some ultimates. And one thing to say here about the Shock is this is probably a comp they feel much more comfortable running because this is pretty much what they ran before Sinatra was on the team, right? They were really good at just kind of like pocketing Baby Bay, right, on the 76. Saw Nevix right there with the peel on Diva.
Lucio as well, which was a Dax special, of course.
This is much more in their wheelhouse than, that dive that they've been trying out.
But let's see if that, that natural affinity for this composition helps the Shock going forward. So far, it's been excellent. Tactical visor here for Sinatra. Casper's down. That could be a problem for the Boston Uprising. He switched over from the Pharah, realizing he couldn't get much done. Sinatra kind of annoying Striker, or ignoring him for the time being. How did he hit Striker with that Helix Rocket? That is unbelievable. He wasn't even looking at Striker most of the time. I couldn't even see when he fired the bloody thing. And then he gets 2 kills with the attack visor. That's just so gross.
And then he just flips around and gets the Mercy up top. So yeah, if he decides, I wonder if he was going back to the spawn for a second. He's going to take the high ground here, but I thought for a second maybe we were going to see him switch to a Genji here when the dive comes through, but San Francisco getting so close to taking this point.
Oh, okay, I've still got goosebumps. We're going to play it on though. Dante pulse bomb. Will it be note? Oh, Neko didn't even realize Dante was there. Dante once again doesn't need the pulse bomb to secure the kill. And he may as well have not used it because it looks like his team might be struggling here. Nomi does eject Note from the point. And Dante hoping to get a bit of a spar in, but Striker's not about that. He didn't bring the Epsom salts anyway. So, 10% coming up here for the Boston Uprising. And yeah, they're switching to the Genji here because obviously the Tracer 76 didn't work well against the Genji Tracer dive.
This is what I thought he was going back to the spawn to do. I thought he was going back to the spawn to switch to Genji, but you give it one more fight there. You win that fight, you win the round, right? So Might as well try it. It'll be Dante on the point here, just trying to contest for San Francisco.
Oh, no way! Sleepy shuts him down, finishes off with a Cossack kick. Striker was hoping to get a big pulse bomb, but he gets absolutely nothing. Big fat nada! And now the point being taken back by the shot. Gamsu has to go heroic here, knocking people off. He got rid of Nomi at least, but Nomi dealt with Neko in the meantime. Self-destruct for Nevix, gonna force him away, and Moth there with a big boop. Overtime now. Transcendence means Casper just can't even do anything about this point, really. He needs to wait, hope that his remaining teammates stall it out, and that was note. So Dream Casper can drop in from the chimney. It's like Santa Claus, except the kind that's gonna take your cookies and your life. Coming out with a Dragon Blade, it's not gonna work though. Sinatra's there. Oh, I saw that, Sinatra. You can't hide that from me. What a piece. And the cold face killer satisfied so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's
one more round left.
He's starting to come alive on this 76, and then the Genji there towards the end takes him only 50 seconds to build up to his own blade there towards the end. It's what, 2 fights he plays Genji. I know in comparison, where Dreamcastle played Genji for a little bit, it was about 1 minute and 20 seconds he was building up to that blade. So Sinatra did a good job of it there. Now we get to see a Widowmaker battle between Sinatra and Dreamcasper. This will definitely be a test.
Yeah, I mean, and this is like Sinatra is definitely very early on in his Overwatch League tenure. He's having to step up in a big way on this map and play some off-roll.
He's been delivering though. I mean, he has played quite well.
Undoubtedly, the 76 was what forced Casper off the Pharah on that last map onto the Genji. Then Sinatra comes in with the Genji himself and gets a big fat finisher. So you have every reason as a Shock fan to feel optimistic about this. Sinatra v Casper. Again, already turning into a gargantuan grudge match.
Dreamcastle are getting the benefits of that defense matrix up top.
Yeah.
He's going to opt not to fight Sinatra here and just kind of put some pressure on the players on the ground.
It's almost like he's in Sinatra's head. Sinatra wants to fight Casper. In fact, he was looking at Casper that entire fight while the aforementioned was wrecking his team. And look, that's also because the Uprising took position on the point early, whereas the Shock was mostly waiting on a pick themselves. Again, you want to be the one nestled in close to the stone wall and not out towards that side.
Well, right, yeah, that's where Dreamcastle was, and just kind of pelting players over by the Mega Health Pack and the point. Be Sinatra opens up with a pick on a Neko. This will get res right up, though, by Kelix.
Okay. Casper opts to drop down and not stay in the duel. He does take a body shot from Sinatra. And Nevix is forced to back away here. At least he leaves the fight. Ah, there it is. Casper finds a headshot on Sinatra. Sleepy doesn't succumb to the pulse bomb. Low as he is. You have to get out. Yeah, the Shock might just have to reset here, man. There's not much more to be done. And it all starts with dealing with this Widowmaker. That's the question. Now that Casper has Infrasight, he can actually snowball this fight with an early pick with that prior information.
How long do you stay on your own Widow before you just try out and go dive with that Genji?
Well, Baby Bay tried it for the entire control stage, if I'm not mistaken. He tried a lot of it.
That was against Logic's the other day.
Well, no, he got stopped by Casper early in the series.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And he stayed on that Widowmaker for pretty much the entire round.
So we'll see if they commit to this, as Dreamcastle does have the Infrasight. Gonna wait until the push starts to come in, then gain a ton of vision. May not even need it now that you get Dante.
It was Hollywood that, Baby Bay refused to switch off that one. And it did hurt them in the long term, but Casper looking sharp. And this may be the last opportunity for the San Francisco Shock, Matt, to be in charge of their own destiny. Maybe one more fight, and Kelix has his Valkyrie. There's a Transcendence around the corner. It's going to be a big fight, and a Shock have to come forward.
Infrasight from both teams here, so Dreamcastle holding on to it until Sinatra had his.
He's not taking the poke back.
Forces him behind the wall, yeah. It's just, you're going to have Gamsu jump right onto him. Shock need to get near the point. It'll be Dante the one that touches it.
No, it's got to be now or never. Gamsu taking a heck of a lot of damage here from the D.Va up close. Nevix is leaving his mark. We're in overtime now. Sleepy drops onto the point with the Transcendence, and there's a lot of space being controlled, but Casper's found two. He's got Sinatra and Moth. This time Casper will not be taken down. The Widowmaker definitely seems to be his pocket pick, and he is dominating on it. Nevix has to come forward, but it means he has to leave the point. Nomi's also not in position. He drops down, but it's one by one. Dripped from the tap are the San Francisco Shock, and that's all they're going to have. The series is done. Dreamcastle reigns supreme on the Widowmaker, and Boston do rise up.
It's a big win for Boston, Mitch. They come in here, they get a Game 5 win against the Shock. The Shock play another team close in Week 5. That'll be Stage 2 for the Shock. Done and dusted. They have a lot to look forward to with some new players coming in for Stage 3. But Sinatra looked good in the 2 matches we saw him this week.
It is exciting times. It's been great to see the Shock develop over this stage 2, and again, another stage to come. You can see on the screen there, Moth, one of their newest additions. And yeah, people might be asking a few questions about that substitution decision and how that was set up. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. It's late in the evening, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. We're going to head over to the desk with Pumpkin and the gang to break it down. Gentlemen, it's all you.
Thank you so much, fellas. 2 Game 5s and an upset today. At the end of it all, though, it's the Boston Uprising walking away with the last victory over the San Francisco Shock. We're going to break down all the action, starting with Hollywood, because that's where we're heading in Game 3. We got Bren, we got Sideshow. Let's get right into the footage here. And talk to me a little bit about these squads. Coming in, it was all tied up 1 apiece. We see Baby Bay playing alongside Dante on this map. How surprised were you to see Sinatra not in the mix?
Not very surprised at all, because they like to run the Sombra on this map, so that's Dante's speciality, and it's a very good Widow map as well, so you get Baby Bay in there as well. What I think made the biggest difference is that Dreamcasper was having an absolute baller of a day. He was just walking all over people. And also, the tanks make a big difference. You don't often see the impact of the tanks directly, but the fact that Gamsu and Note were playing so well gave Dreamcasper a lot more space. Baby Bay was always having to making these mad grapple shots, or he was always under pressure compared to Dreamcasper, who had a lot of space.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. Throughout the entire game, Gamsu was just constantly pressuring the support backlines. I mean, this was both in Hollywood and Rooster 6 that you can see right now, alongside Note as well. A very formidable tank duo indeed. And I mean, it was a bit questionable as well, because I mean, whenever we see Dante pull out the Genji as well, it isn't to the highest caliber that we've seen from from other players at least that play that Genji role. So it was a little bit not questionable, because again, they're doing the best with what they've got, but still, you're kind of expecting better things when they do pull it out, especially on that section of Hollywood when you can run various other DPS roles.
Sideshow, Route 66, what was the difference maker? How did we get to a Game 5?
I think the difference maker was the Sombra play, to be honest, because Dante was able to make great use of that coming into Route 66, and the fact that San Francisco Shock do legitimately look fairly decent playing dive compositions now, which is something they were just totally unable to do if you look back a couple of weeks ago. So now that they have Sinatra, they can link this together. They're going to get better at this strategy.
Yes.
And that means they're going to be able to play a lot of different maps in different
They're
ways.
about 2.5 weeks of adding Super to the lineup as well. Once you get Super and Sinatra, remember, these guys have been playing together quite a bit while they've been waiting to turn 18. Let's get into the Game 5, though, because that's where you make your money. This is where we see Boston walking away with it. Dreamcasper, I asked you while the game was going on, where do you rank him amongst the league's best DPS? Because when I watch him, he can do it all. He's the communicator, and he seems to play every hero flawlessly.
So I believe I described him as the jack of all trades, and he turns up on all of them. So and it does kind of make sense, that famous phrase, I should say. But it's a hard question. Like, where do you rank the guy? Because there's so many top tier DPS players in the Overwatch League. You know, you can bring so many to mind. EQO, you can bring up Fleta. The argument you can be made for all of them. I feel like Dreamcasper honestly plays such a great style that fits in well with Boston Uprising, because the fact that he's so flexible, the fact that he can play all these roles and fit in with whatever playstyle Boston want to play is what really brings value to him as a player.
And the reason that Dreamcasper looks so great as well is that he has a phenomenal partner alongside him. Striker just is so unbelievably consistent. He has to be put up there when we talk about the best tracers in the league as well, because he's unbelievably consistent, always gets his stats well above the league average, was outplaying Sinatra in a couple of these maps, even though Sinatra goes for like the big plays, the big like game-changing moments, where Striker's just kind of more consistent. Bit of a different playstyle, but Striker is just so good, and that allows even more space for Dreamcasper.
You saw him playing a little bit safer in some of those moments during the match today, but Striker getting the damage dealt. The question I have for you, where did you go? Boston is going to walk away with our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. The question is, who did you choose, boys?
No brainer, isn't it? It's going to be Dreamcasper 100% of the way. We've been bigging him up in the pre-show, in the halftime, even now in the post-game. And again, he had an absolute whale of a day when it comes to that DPS plays across the board on so many different heroes.
Yes. Every single time I see this guy play, I think of Huck, and I think of how smart the coaching staff and basically the front office is from Boston. They find Striker, they find Dreamcasper, both players playing insane so far throughout our first 2 stages.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal pickups from them. It did take them a lot of time to get going. It's got to be said in stage 2. These guys don't have much experience, took a bit of time to get the wheels turning, but now they look like a team that's right up at probably the top 5 again, back where they were in stage 1 as well.
Let's take a look at our stage 2 standings as we wrap up the day. Here's where we stand, knowing we have just 2 more days left here in the Overwatch League Stage 2. Your top three, it's New York, London, and the Philadelphia Fusion. Seoul dropping all the way to 5th place. And that means tomorrow, Philadelphia can clinch a spot. They need a 3-0 over their opponent. And of course, the Gladiators still in the running as well. Boston in the positive. Big win tonight. Will they be able to finish 6-4? We'll see them a little bit later. And keep in mind, guys, it's all about where you finish in the top 6 after it's all said and done, after all 4 stages. Only the top 6 will be playing for the serious money in July. Tomorrow, though, the action picks up once again. Seoul, another must-win match if they want a chance of making it into the playoffs. But the real match of the day for me is coming up at 6 p.m. It's Philadelphia versus the Valiant.
Yes, and as you said, they have to get a 3-0 or better. That means a single map dropped, and the door is wide open for LA Gladiators to be able to sneak back in. And I have a feeling that that is a very difficult game to get a clean sweep on. They're going up against the LA Valiant. They're no slouches.
Bren, we had a lot of storylines today. You had some decent predictions, an awful flip-flop at the end here, but actually, you got it right. Congratulations.
I did, yes. I don't know why
let's
you
talk
said
about
awful.
best moments. For anyone who is just tuning in, they missed the entire broadcast. Welcome, good morning, wherever you're at. What should they go back and watch on OverwatchLeague.com?
First game of the day, it's got to be Houston as well versus Seoul. I mean, again, nobody predicted it apart from myself. I'm not going to toot my own horn again because it's just getting old at this point. But that is the game you want to watch because it was so good.
Go and follow Brent Cass. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. More Overwatch League is kicking off tomorrow, bright and early, 4 p.m. We'll have Seoul in Florida ready for you then.